Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. I'm your host, Sir Stephen Topham the third, at your service. We're going to talk about this topic seriously. The third generation never ends because there is hope, and there will always be hope. There is always hope for the fourth generation and the fifth generation if too many people never messed up, which I keep catching out quite often. Obviously, there are even at the NWR, based at the Norfolk Railway, PLC, which is I actually quite know a few surnames out of that, out of the three letters, which I will not announce because they are privatised for a reason. Um, we want you to understand there are locomotives being put onto the Norfolk Railway or the NWR that are the Wild Northwesters timeline connection. So, if you see an engine that looks like something you already seen on Wild Northwesters timeline, you will actually say, "Oh, sugar, sugar, that is happening." And a lot of people that are not paying attention to this, and they think, "Oh, I've been to the Norfolk Railway before, and what have they got that may be a connection to Wild Northwesters timeline?" Now, a lot of you feel like you've been neglected, rejected, or either that you're not getting the respect you need, or there's too much money involved. I want it cracked and nailed and say, go cheaper. It's always best to go cheaper. And I'm also catching out other heritage railway lines besides the North Norfolk Railway doing the day out of Thomas, and the North Norfolk Railway are not getting silt, zero, since 2019. So all the day out of Thomas at the North Norfolk Railway is not happening because the secret's out, right? They should not stop the day out of Thomas event as a whole. So people that are in charge at the North Norfolk Railway are doing something a little bit out of the way. Say, look, I'm around, I'm floating, I'm using my eyes and ears for everything. I don't have to mouth off to tell these things. It's when people go up there, they want respect. They want a little bit of honesty. They don't want swearing. They don't want kicking off. They don't want like new volunteers come in, new volunteers get booted out, in, out, shake it all about. Because in the day, there are people with certain useful skills and really useful information, and a lot of people like myself, who actually is a member of the Hatt family, has been watching you all, eyes and ears, every day. I actually know what's going on. You don't have to ask too many questions. Let it unfold naturally, and it will come to you. You don't have to ask too many questions. Yes, the last podcast I did was based on timelines, which was very important information, and I'm not going to go through it again because it breaks it all down. So a lot of people say, okay, you doing this, you doing that, vice versa, whatever you're doing in your house or on the railway line itself, the North Norfolk Railway, you're going to have to start realizing use your eyes and ears for everything because it breaks down everything that every question you got for me personally will end up the answer will be in front of you in a later date. So you may get, oh, he's told the truth. He's told the truth. He's told the truth. But I'm letting it unfold. So while the North Norfolk Railway are making their mistakes, they are trying to explain to you, we are here. We are watching. We got eyes and ears everywhere. It's not just one area. I'm not just Norfolk is main one, obviously, being Sodor upside down. Then you've got Suffolk. Then you've got Cambridge and quite the other pieces as well. Adding it all in, right? A lot of people think, where is my boundary? What is my connection to Thomas and friends? You have to work it. If you are 15 and 16, 17, 18 years of age, you got into this, you got hooked, you're going to find out where your connection is. So the thing is, you have to work backwards because it's like a pattern, right? Pattern has all our families, all the railway families that are second gen, first gen, give them help, give them support. But you guys are the ones that have to do it to help the third generation proceed further. So now, at the age of, if the third gen is in their late 30s to early 40s, you're gonna get that gift instantly. Why? Because you've either been on the railway or you've been out day out of Thomas somewhere else, and they are breaking the rules. All right? Because while Norfolk hasn't got it, no one's. It's like saying one bad egg affects all. And when the chain of command follows suit, I don't expect Scotland or Wales to do the opposite. Because if they all think I've gone like completely nuts, it's not true. The whole thing I'm saying now, it's all true. Because it's all saying, use your eyes, use your ears. Where's the real fat man? I'm here. I'm talking to you as a civilized person. But the other thing you got to realize, I'm a businessman. So I'm going to have that strict and stern. But I also have that particular way of thinking because I was brought up that way. So now everything is falling into place. If you really want the real Thomas the Tank characters that you can associate with, and get connected it that way. You get a connection, you get friends, you get build up friends and family through that series and bumps your uncle. I have been checking nearly everything out, and I just feel like you deserve to get this. You deserve to earn this. But I got a list of names that go back from 1936 onwards, so I know who my employees are, or employees are to the point. So their descendants are the ones that are passing it on genetically. So when there was a lot of players on the board, I have to look after my engines that are purchased by me. So now every one of us has been probably you probably got this gift out of the blue, and you got the wife, the Hatt, which is me, the third gen, Stephen Topham Hatt the third. Bang! What will happen? The chain of command will follow suit. It keeps going and going. Goes through the fourth gen, fifth gen, and then the Hatts will die out. Then the engines will die out. Then they will all. Then all the truth will be revealed from all of the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. But the Hacks could go further than that because we are biological. We're not stupid, don't get me wrong. But there is a fact in every generation. You're getting historical information. You're not passing the buck the way we're supposed to do it. It's not like the olden days. We are in the modern years near enough. But I have you seen Richard Topham Hatt yet? No. Have you seen Emily Helen Hatt yet? No. Because they're my son and my granddaughter. So then you got to work out without Richard, you won't have the fourth generation. So then where's the fifth? Where's Emily? Well, King, you got to work out how the connection has been made. It could be a friend of mine, or an employee, or a connection, etc., etc. It goes down the line. But the fact is, why would the third gen never ends at the moment? It never ends for the third generation because there is hope for us all. But if people are pursuing to ask questions to get answers they want, they got to learn to be what I would have said, keep, let it unfold unnaturally, naturally. So when they watch it, they right. Let's just take it for example. You're off duty, right, any department, NHS as example, or the cops, the police, and you're going on the railway and you don't even notice these engines are popping up. One, two, three, like just like that. And and you want to know where are these engines coming from? This is a source. The thing is about the legendary of the Hatch, where we all go back in time a bit. You had my senior, you had my grandfather, you had my father, and then you got me, third generation. Tough, right? There was a mistake that was made that makes the NHS think the opposite, or the NSFT, even that. I'm going to tell you about my life, right? People that want to understand me a lot better than anything, right? The day I was born, right, right, it didn't even stop there. It keeps continuing because third gen goes on, right? A lot of people in the hospital department or any hospitals, NHS, throughout the grid, didn't realise that there were a few chosen ones, including myself, and I said, look, don't mess with the hats, they are realistic. They are not going to go anywhere, right? Then people started to say, look, oh, my son is gifted, but he's got a problem with his reading, or he can't write, as example. And then you're thinking up in your brain like any psychiatrist would, and they act like so. What they do is right. If you put a psychiatrist in the motion into this, right, they think they know it all. Even the doctors, they think they know it all. And I said, look, these guys and everybody around me don't see the bigger picture in the end, and they think, why are the real life railways and the Thomas universe connected? Then you've got to work out, oh shit, we just had a hat member for family. Now, I could tell you a story which goes on about this, and I've just got to a point now where I'm getting just an acknowledgement from people saying we want answers. These answers are not supposed to be given to them directly. They have to figure it out for themselves and work it out for themselves. A lot of people have to learn it the hard way. And the hardest way of doing it is protecting the hat, the one that I am, Stephen Topham Hat the Third. And then you also have to realise, right, he's the fat controller, he's real. What happens to Matthew Stephen Manson? He's dead and buried, right? So the name is swapped because you can't have one without the other because you have to balance out all of it. So when people look at me and say, why is Matthew Stephen Manson getting a prescription for his medication, for example, right? Scratching their heads. And they don't look at the middle name and they don't even work out why is he called Matthew Manson on the list. And I said, those are two surnames right there, when they're friends, colleagues everywhere else around the globe. They actually are two surnames, and the reason that is you take Hat out of one and you put Topham, which is a middle name. Now, if that's true, flip them over, doink doink. You got Stephen in the middle, right? That's not correct, right? So what happens is there is the reason these anagrams are designed when we were born, the day we were born. We have duck, we have quite a few engines, Nia. We have all of the engines, right? But they are human beings as well. We are the third gen fleet. And really, the day we rised is the day that we are going to take back the Norfolk Railway. Because there is a reason for that. You know, if we don't stand up for ourselves and realise We're the third gen fleet. We are realistic. We're doing it elsewhere. We know what's going on. Eyes and ears everywhere. And it will all come out to the daylight where everybody's going to figure it out and say, what? You need to start slowing down yourselves and work yourselves out and say, if I'm part of the movie or a part of the series, what I'm supposed to do, it's the next step of your life. That Thomas and Friends has a way of changing people's lives. Even the Hatt family, we all come back. Why? Because we end up having to fix things, and it's not like a whole thing that's gonna explode away from you. No, we gotta we're gonna. It's a positive, but some of the time it's a negative for people. When people come back negative with that power, they end up with good versus evil, vice versa. But you see, when was the last time you had a steam team around you? I'm telling you this as a realistic question. When was the last steam team you ever had? Right? This this is why a lot of people are asking. The last steam team ever was formed was 1958. Now, the descendants of those steam team will have their descendants and their descendants, vice versa. We go down two generations forward. You gotta have to take 30 years off because there's a piece in your head that's missing, and it's really fact that you gotta realise is a real life railway here. This is this is all realistic. These are people's lives, family, friends, colleagues, everything, and when they all piece together, they all come together slowly. You don't jump in and ask questions because you won't get the answers because the answers come naturally. So when these answers come up, you might have a clue in your pocket or a clue in your head or a clue that comes out of your mouth. Then you might think, why did I say that? Or why did I have a clue for that? And then everybody's asking the biggest question of all, why are the hats are back? Why is this young man dressed up as the Fat Controller, the real one, not the phony ones that you get off from the day out of Thomas? People gotta stop asking that question. The answer stares right in front of them. And the reason why we are taking advantage of this is to make people self aware that we are not, the steam team are not the bad team you should be targeting, right? The diesel team are the ones that you have to target back, right? There's a circulation, like a circle, like a Earth, as example, right? I know nearly 8 billion people, right? And they all need the Hat's help, right? Steve, myself, and all my family included, they, we all have a, we always have a family background for this, and what you call ancestry or family ancestry, and we go back and back and back and back, and then when you go forward, you think, oh shit, excuse my language, but there's a point in the line where it's all realistic, and you trying to drive all these answers out of people. You have to let it unfold. You can't just ask a question and try and get the answer out of them because it may be not the time, the place, or the actual right person to ask it to. Sometimes you just got to let it unfold like a book. So every time that, let's just say, NSFT or the NHS may make a fatal mistake because their mistake was the biggest mistake of their lives, but they got paid for nothing. Some people have done some research, done some homework. Do it. Type in hat, H hat with a double T, and then work. Then you got Matt, and then you got my other side of my family, and you got to work that connection. Nearly most of the community out there, the Thomas the Tank Engine community out there, knows the Hatts too damn well. They would not lie to you. But there is, yes, everything is all anagram to stop people hunting us down. Now, imagine if we got hunted down, right? You got two universes that are actually one reality, right? There's no fiction to it. The only reason why we got this gifted at sequence is because we are a southern race. Now, a southern race is very important to tell, but at the same time, how many people have not realised this and then pick up the answers slowly? They're not going to get them all at once, that's for sure. They just got to realise this is happening. This is not a fiction. This is reality that's coming through. And every time I wake up and smell the coffee, go down to the tea room or whatever I do in the morning, I ending up saying, believe it, because you're not going to get rid of us. Because whatever happens, there's always a stamp saying, if we destroy this boy or this man, we end up losing everything else. It's like saying, why is this man doing the job that they meant to be? This is what's probably floating in your head. Why is this man dressed up like that? Why? Because I have a job to do. And if I don't fulfill it, there's going to be a problem here, a problem here, and a problem here. It's, it's like barriers beyond barriers. So I put a safeguard in place so long ago. Even my grandfather, my father, myself, we all have a section and a piece, and piece it. And then people are starting to say, Thomas and Friends or Thomas the Tank Engine is just a book. Well, that's one quote from one psychiatrist. Now, I am talking very seriously here, and it actually nearly broke me and my stepfather in pieces. I told him, "You want to bet?" You see, between 1990s and the 1980s, when the Thomas the Tank came to life in real life, I was only 5 years of age, and I was working at the North Norfolk Railway or the North Western Railway Company at Wellsworth / Sheringham, and I was only 5 years old to get introduced to it, and that was book 32 of Thompson Friends, and out of the blue, the third gen hasn't even ended. So even if you think you thought we thought we got cuckoo or whatever what you want to name it, I said no, we're not. I said to everybody, I made it quite clear and crystal. There's a big question, but you're not going to get the answer for it because you're dealing with reality of it. So every time I wake up, I know my job, my responsibility, and how to clear up this mess. But if everybody's gonna put on like I said, there's a lot of people, nasty people out there that I have to deal with to maintain, control, and get rid of. And I know it sounds harsh at the beginning, but it doesn't feel right because usually obviously when you get these answers, you're not going to get them straight away. It's not a game. It's not a race. And I am looking left, right, and centre on this. I said there's a lot of reasons why this is unfolding gently on everybody, but it's also making crud for the red flag everywhere else. I said there's red flag everywhere around the globe. Why? Because we've been targeted. And I actually put myself and I said, right, time to clear this mess up bit by bit. I've got the Thomas the Tank Engine community to deal with as well, and they all breaking that down, and they also know the exact story plots. And then I ended up with this piece. That's reality of it. Then you've got the fiction side of it, but that's 20 years ahead of us. So the more the more times that more people intervene, trying to stop that. Let's say like a sport or activity or some type of connection, if you will. People will try and prevent me from doing it, and some people will shove them away and say you've got to do that sport, right? Because it's a connection to what the story is unfolding. So we got this Iron Swan song, which is still continuing because people are not aware that this is a big, 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 not a big game around you. When your head is all floated, you got to think about that circle is the Earth, right? All the rest of the engines, fleets, carriages, connections, family, friends, the full whack are connected to the Thomas universe. But it's not a bad thing. But what we have to do is work out who's the diesel team and who's the steam team on every continent. We have to keep in contact. We got to keep connections running. But then people are starting to ask the big question. I've been everywhere. I know everywhere. I know exactly where you're going without having to hiccup. I said the trust has to be built with me and my rest of my family. It's trust, honesty, and respect. It's not about what you see because there's a 30-year gap. It may have caused confusion and delay. But when I noticed this, right, a lot of people know me too well because they actually know my background without having to ask questions or get the answer straight out of my mouth. Where the community around the globe, like the United States, Australia, and all the other pieces, they got pieces, only small pieces, not big pieces, and then bang, what happens? They get the big chunks come right through because I've been online too often when I was younger. Now I am actually saying time to correct this and say this is what needs to be done. Norfolk Railway is going to be shut down, and I'm going to correct the matter because in the day there is truth, there is logic, and there is respect. But there are three things in play. There's reality and the fiction. The fiction is ahead of us, and then you got reality. Every day there's a page turner, right? Let's say I'm reading my book, and I don't have to read mine because mine it's already been told, right? So the realistic side of it is making people self-aware, knowing the hats exist for reasons. This is why my family worked nearly since 1883 all the way up to now, right? We done boats, we done trains, we done everything in the book. And then people are asking the biggest question: why are we talking about everything? I said, spread it out and look at it. The bigger piece that you're looking for is something you cannot have because it's a family secret. So I can only give you what the story's already told you. So people are asking, why is Henry involved? Why is James involved? Why is Gordon involved? I said, look at it from book one. Book 32 never started until the 10th of October 1983. But that didn't even start then because it has to be 5 years added to that. So I was 5 years old when that book started. So basically, a lot of people are asking, you got a little chunk of the past, and then you got a big chunk from book 32 onwards, and then people are starting to work out why are these stories unfolding gently? Why of this? Why is that? A lot of people had questions and answers, and a psychiatrist tried to work it out because they working out well, this guy is so clever. We won't talk now. They probably thinking 10 times over and saying, what? You mean these events have happened nearly since 1883? onwards. Yeah, but the Hats started in 1845, as I stated in my channel intro. I keep trying to explain it to people. There's a big time gap that you can't break. If you try and break it, you destroy us, and you destroy everything around you, and then you're ending up with nothing in the end. And it's like a barrier for everybody. I know, I know there's a lot of chords, and there's all these breakups, but these little breakups, people, even myself, I'm filling in the gaps. So while I'm doing one thing, some person might do the opposite, and they might think, "Oh, this is hostile. This has got nothing to do with railways or anything." I said, "Yes, it has. If you look at the Middle and Great Northern and the Great Eastern upside down, instead of looking at it north, you will get your answers. But the thing is, it's who's on that map, and that is where family, friends, and connections are kept private. You have to let the story unfold naturally. Yes, it's a little for the Hat family. We have to work at it. We have to punch it in. We got to rush it through a little bit. We've got to slow it down a bit. It's about knowing the know-how to have why. How did you know what was going to happen before we jumped in, right? So say for instance you were one of the actual people that are in Thomas and Friends, right? And you didn't work it out. Let's take the movie Journey Beyond Sodor, right? The very good movie, and I was in about 3 or 4 different environments or habitats, if you like to call it correctly, and I was like basically saying, right, how did I get to the steelworks, for example? How did the fact controller be in his office getting phone calls, as example? And a lot of people saying it's connected to one person, right? That's no lie. Then you see James the Red Engine try and save Thomas, obviously. And I went back to get him. That was the other way round. But I saw Henry come off Vickerstown Station Bridge, right? And unfortunately, I managed to meet all of them in one swing. Now, I'm going to give out the proper location for this one. Helston Hospital, it's actually the Steelworks, right? The Steelworks. Okay, it's Helston Hospital. But I will not give out the real names who's helped me out on the inside of that. But I'm giving you hints and clues to say, right, if the Steelworks is Helston Hospital, where is the other half? And I'm now going to fill in the gaps for you. So when Vickerstown is normally Henry's department and his wheels fell off the bridge at the beginning of the movie, I said, I know that. That's the same place, Helston Hospital. And I said, look, I would have written this down like a book, but I can't because there's a lot of people involved. So the nurses are basically researching my family at the same time, trying to gather up, and they got their answer right in front of them, right? They saw everything. Eyes and ears are everywhere, and that's even cameras. And people thought I went ballistic. I said, no, I'm not. I ended up standing up what is right and true. At the same time, telling the truth about every department. But every department has its weak points, right? Strengths and weaknesses. We all think about strengths and weaknesses as one whole thing, aren't we? Strengths and weaknesses. I said locations is not the location. It's the people that I'm safeguarding right now. So a lot of the safeguards are still active, and I said we're not trying to. I'm trying to help people understand more than what they should. So with the whole globe trying to be saying we want the hats, we want the hats. They got Stephen Topham Hatt the third. And they also got my father, Charles Topham Hatt the second, and then my grandfather is deceased, and so is his grandfather deceased. But the thing is, you not as you go forward, you're in third generation. You're not going any further than that. But people have got loose ends, as you like to call it, and they want the answers all the time. I said, if if I had set people come to me directly, they want answers they cannot always have because the answers are already safeguarded. So the thing is, what you need to do now is work better at yourselves and say there is hope for all of you. It's not just about understanding why have I got this connection with Thomas and Friends. One of you, like I said, it's a big, big, big thing. When you listen and learn and watch and look at every anagram in the series, even in the movies, right up to the 2D, you're learning about my family, you're learning about everything that's processed through, and then you've got to work at rewind it, reforward it, right? Anagram, it's all, with all anagrams, stop children from accessing this data. And I'm trying to tell everybody, look, if you could work it out, people would not ask too many questions. I have tried to tell you this in broad of secrecy because a lot of these questions that you're asking me are supposed to be secret and private. And it's not an easy task, don't get me wrong. But there's people from NSFT, NHS, all of them, even the police, they all get involved where they want answers. They're not going to get them all in one day, and it drives me to do the job that I was meant to do. You pushing it to one side and say, "Get rid of them." We think you've done this, we think you've done that. I said, "Don't." There's a real reason why I'm here. There's a real reason why I'm surviving around this. I said there's a big barrier that's preventing you to target me. I've got a safeguard in place. In every part of my family has safeguarded their own son, grandson, vice versa, or grandfather to grandson, skip a generation if need be, and then it just goes right into the white paper and asking why is this 30-year gap missing. I'm sorry to say I can't always give you all the answers you need. You know, there's a lot of people out there that might think they're doing the better for the good. I said, no, you're not. It's basically what you're doing is destroying what was meant to happen. So you guys are like going like, what? What do we do? And then you messed up. And then everybody that has messed up, I said, and everyone is playing a part in this, regardless left, right, and centre. We all playing a part. We've got to save ourselves. We're not the never ending story. We are the continuation of the story. We are not the actual time bomb here. We are trying to build the fourth generation. So with the people that are adults now, that are in their 30s and 40s, should say, and their 60s, my ad, the North Norfolk Railway is the North Western Railway Company, and that is final in any angle. And that's the reason why I'm saying, because there's a lot of logic where people think, wait, what? You're saying we got this? And I said, look, our legacy is continuing. And every time we are pursuing further and further and further, even that, my connections and colleagues and my family and friends, they all know about it. But I'm not going to push them to the edge where where some of you think, well, um, let's just say Mr. Anonymous or somebody that doesn't know me that well, they will say, oh, how come this has all happened so quickly or started to happening now? And a lot of the Thomas and Friends community out there are very slow learners. They don't realise that their dates are out of date, or I would say out of place, and they got the dates wrong. Donk. Right? If the thing was that the railway books that we have, the realistic railway books we have, is the realistic thing. But when you balanced it out with Thomas and Friends, why did it? Even Audrey stated he was next door to Norfolk. Why was it? So when he looked upside down, looking at the Scotland Eye point of view, he said, I build this, Thomas Universe based on the Midland Great Northern and Great Eastern Railway Company. Poof! But then he made a proper census of every location around the UK as well as Norfolk, but a lot of the major bottom side of the railway line of the NWR is basically Sheringham, West Runton, Cromer, Rayborn. Then it goes directly into the heart of it, and it goes right through the heart and ending up back at South Lynn and Kings Lynn area and and obviously Hanstanton. But when you add it all up, you're then getting a full picture saying, God, the map of Sodor video. Oh, I seen that and I understand that. And I can really turn it the other way round and it be the Midland Great Northern and the Great Eastern. But no. If you flip it the other way and look at opposite and go and say, look, we got this, why is a Hatt member of the family got to do this? Because I got to set things right a little bit. It's a boundary between time and space and everything else, and recorrecting one part to another part and another part. I'm not going to be doing this day after day and after day and after day because it means something to your next generation. You've got to think about your next generation is the key to all of this. For the Hatt family, we have to get married, have our kids, to bring in the fourth generation of the Hatts, and then fifth generation on top to bring it all into the fold. And let's just say if the NHS and the NSFT want me out of the picture, then the adults that were brought up with this story and everything else, they will keep it to themselves because they say because we know what's going on. The kids will not. And the barrier is that you've got to try and separate it. The kids that know it since they're 15 years of age or above can get used to this information. But if the younger ones are in play, right, there are a lot of people that are twisting this story and say, look, how come the hats exist? I said, look, they exist for a reason. And there's a lot of reasons why I go on private. As an example, you can't always find me with one hiccup. So every time I spread the truth and the logic, a lot of things that you see and do is the action to the fiction. So when you think there is no hope at all, say there is hope, right? Because I've just been through one part of the series to another part of the movie or other parts of the Thomas franchise, and then it's all coming together slowly. You can't just ask for the answer because the answer may not come to you yet because it might end up physically going forward, going forward, going forward, going forward, and then you're asking one question of all time. You're asking, where is Lady Hat? That's what the younger, like the 15-year-olds, 16-year-old, and the 17-year-olds are asking. They're asking, where is Lady Hat in all of this? Does she exist? The answer is yes, because they're not, in some cases, if you think of Libra as a bunch of scales, right? And I'm an air symbol, obviously. And when you think about it twice, I'm not giving that BS. So if you think this is all BS, it's no joke. Seriously, get your head out of the tunnel for this one. And the thing is, there's a barrier between all of it, right? There's the reason why we fight to keep things right. You know, okay, it's a full circle. You got a circle of the earth as well, where people said, "Oh, why we got one in the United States? Why we got one in the UK? Why we got one in the European areas? Why have we got one in China? Why we got one in Japan?" This is a question that Britt Ortcroft, the writer, right. Let me explain. Britt Ortcroft took it from Reverend Robert Audrey long time ago, and she made a TV series out of it. And that while that was in progress, I'm in. Book 32 begins. Right? At the age of 5 years of age, I begin. So, a lot of you then might think, okay, the bunker scales are correctly balanced again. Right? A lot of people worshipped my grandfather, who is Top, Sir Topham Hatt the First, in every angle. Right? There is so much information that a lot of people want, and they cannot have the secrets to the family. That's the fact. But the people that dive into it and look into it and finding out that what they've been told was the truth, all of this time, you looking at it, it's realistic. You're not gonna change it because there is no there's no cuckoo-ness into this, right? People that think this is all cuckoo, wipe your brains and just start your engines and ask yourself, why does this guy know so much? And then you're gonna ask that little question. It's a barrier between the barrier. I'm not gonna always be giving out the answers because it has to play out. When it plays out nicely, when you're not done anything or you've got to do this, you've got to do that. I'm actually in the physical point where I actually said, right, I'm continuing this because it's got to play forward as it would, right? When I was a kid, everybody thought, why is this boy comes back for more? You know what I mean? It's like Tiny Tim would say, I want more, and he end up getting bollocked, right? That is example number one. But that's not the case. The problem is, I was brought up in my grandfather's way. I learnt the hard way. I had to go through protocols, red tape, everything that's on there. But everybody's totally forgetting one thing on the radar. Why is the Norfolk Railway so much of a key to this? I said, did you know I'm the fat controller? No. We don't give a they don't give a TOSS, right? So what do they would do? They will stand there and do the jobs they were doing, right? I can do better than what they can. But I'm not gonna be like saying that all the positive in me has been like, you guys set me up, the Norfolk Railway did, and they screwed themselves up. So while it's all playing out nicely right now, are you getting the best treatment? Are you getting the respect you need? I'm asking the employers and the employees and the volunteers. I'm asking them a question. Are you getting respected up there? Are you getting the, what you call equalism on this? And then ask yourself the question. This fat controller you throw out the door, poof, right, because I'm not being dishonest, and I'm now giving everybody the biggest question. Why do you think I know that you guys got, let's say the second gen, got booted out, plus the fat controller, the third gen? who's supposed to be in charge, may I add. And then you realise, oh, sugar. Now, he landed us with the time bomb, right? Now steam trains are coming in, right? One by one. They're not all coming all at once. So while the diesels are falling, like they always said, as my friend has stated in the first video, it's all coming through. One by one, one by one, one by one. And then by the time the steam team resurfaces, they want to know who the steam team is. So that's when when everything comes, you see, these little small pieces that you're all trying to break up again, they're going to be forged again. And they're building themselves up. So when these little pieces that everybody's crazing for, I said, let it play out. Let it play out. Let the Norfolk Railway think they're gone cuckoo. Because they are cuckoos. Because the people that got booted out, I empathise on the hard work they do and then ending up getting sworn at, cursed at, and everything. And then you're saying, oh, I was willing to actually come back with full strength now because I said there's a boundary which they crossed, which I'm not going to lie on. And I'm going to say, you've got to realise third generation are now coming into play. The second gen have now said, we had enough of this because we're getting disrespected. I empathise on them because they work so hard, thick and thin. But every time I had disrespected but by the Norfolk Railway, don't get me wrong, one been set up, one been lied to, and the other one's got the letter of approval saying this is what this guy's done, blah 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 blah. I'm not going into details because it's privatised. But it gives out of people saying, right, my friends from America and connections in America at the time said, you are in charge of the Norfolk Railway. You can't let them boot you out because you're too kind hearted. Of course, I had my own fair share of problems, but at the same time, you had employers that were booting out every Tom, Dick, and Harry in the second gen that actually caused this problem. I said, why did the cops look into that first and look at everything they got? They got they got every person's problem there, and they just think they could sweep it under the rug, push it into the sidelines, and say we will forget about that. Let them still come in and get the toxic out of the window. I said, look, these employers at the time, it's the people I know. I know I sense things that other people don't pick up on, and it drives the Norfolk Railway in a portion where they picking up why we got these new steam trains coming in. Now they're thinking, right? Now if they were a dog, they will go instinct, then they'd be start thinking again. And it's like that with the employees and the employers right now because they need guidance, they need support, and it will put me back into the really, really, really useful again, obviously. And they will say, look, the Fat Controller here knows too much, but he knows his boundaries, and he would not harm anyone on a Norfolk Railway. Of course, I exploded. Why? Because they obviously thought it. They thought that the Norfolk, let's say the Thomas and Friends, was the fictional stuff. I said, no, it isn't in any angle. And it drives them bonkers because now they're getting the results they want. They're getting the answers they want. But then you ask and say, why are these steam trains coming? Why are these steam trains coming? Then I've got a Twitter account to prove it as well, and that was showing you step by step exactly what is unfolding. And then I'm letting the public, the community, to think for themselves and realise what is unfolding. And they're going to ask the big question and a big empathy question. Why did the second gen get booted out when they shouldn't done? I sat down, just having a cup of tea, seeing the LNER engine just going by, Hazel, obviously, at the time, before she had her maintenance and overhaul. And then now I started to see engines that I know of, may I add, and I don't lie to no one. And I said to a private connection, I said, look, they've got the engines that are actually coming in from Wild Noresta's timeline. And it's all playing out nicely. Ding, 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 ding. Right? People are fascinated by that because they know something that was already ahead of schedule. I said, where's the fat controller on the North Norfolk Railway right now? Uh-uh. He's not allowed back on it because he's been lied. He's been set up. And there's a trigger. So when you got that trigger, usually the North Norfolk Railway will call out the cops and they will say misleading information or calculation that's been set up and it's been told. Then I said to my private connection at Muckaborough collection, I said to him, keep your eyes and ears to the ground and make sure if they do pop in, I want to know what's going on at the North Norfolk Railway, just to get my heads up. So I get to know what was going on up there. Oh yeah, I'll pick up some answers here and there, right? And then you've got a lot of engines going on in around the UK that are coming out fresh, new constructed or reconstructed. Then you're wondering why. Why are these steam engines are coming back? There's a lot of questions and answers, but I cannot always. People are not seeing the bigger picture. They're not. They cannot, and they will not, and they will not always see it. And they just drive that little passage across the line and keep let it play out. Right? I envy people not realizing, not looking, not using their eyes and ears to realize where the danger is. And the danger is always had been the North Norfolk Railway. But the thing is, there are a lot of people out there saying, where's Day Out Thomas? That's my buffers, sir. And they're realizing there's a package there. They're saying, this is not a joke. This is realistic. This is the nurses at the NHS know this because I'm telling my private connection from when she was working at the NHS. She said, right, I let my friends and connections at the NHS know about it, which is true. I would not give out my private connection's name, but that's the way it goes. And it goes forward, 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 and the message gets passed. Then people starting to pick up all these little pieces and start to realise we can't break this down, we can't do this because we know things. It's the cleverest, intelligent person on the planet that would know these things straight off to the point, right? I'm not going to be pushed down and pulled down by the North Norfolk Railway when they know they're going to get trumped on. And because they're not looking at it, I thought, yeah, let them have it. I'll keep letting them have it because I want to see how many mistakes they do. Because the slip ups they make it even worse on me because I'm saying, oh, there's a fat controller that's watching. And that's me, of course, in every angle. So when I do get telling people this, I want you guys from the inside and the outside to realise is this the job for you? Is it really worth it? I'd rather be up there to make sure you get the respect you want. I'm not going to go let them. I'm going to defuse that bomb before that bomb explodes. Why? There's a reason why I said my anagrams are a little bit polarized when you have to look at it, this whole Thomas series, even the movies, and work out why is he doing this? Why is he defusing this bomb? It's because the bomb itself is them. So if you work it out, if I defuse it, what happens when the bomb is not when it's defused? It's not about what. It's about it's how, where, and when. Because I've got knowledge, yes, we have to take that in consideration. Respect is another thing. But people have to be up there to see it. Right? When I see people and I see prices going up, 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 and up, 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 as example, right? The North Norfolk Railway cannot survive without its fat controller on the line, right? You see, I'm 40 years old and not a child, but I understand what was in those books. Now, a lot of people think he's gone boom boom in the head, right? No, it isn't. It's making you self aware to realize how did he know that? How did he work that out? I said, what's Wild and the rest is timeline? It fills in some of the gaps because there's season 4, 5, then you obviously have the modern years. But the people don't realize this is all unfolding in realistic form now because it started when I was 5 years of age. And you think, okay, I started at 5, obviously, and then it built up by the age of when when it was 2020, or I would say near enough 2002, 2001, something like that. I think I started in 2001. Then I became a volunteer. Then I still monitored everything like anything, like a hawk. So when people ask the biggest question, how did you know these events are unfolding nicely? Then people that have read the books to their kids and themselves, hearing it out as they get older, and they read it through again for their kids, then they start to see all these anagrams starting to pair up, and they're all connected to past, present, and future. Right? 3 holograms, right? And a lot of it is telling you all the truth right there in crystal, but it's all anagrams. And the adults have a different, they read it as an adult. So when they read it as an adult, they look at people's faces, who the good guys are, who the bad guys are, who have to fight for what, and they got initially got to put all of these little pieces together. Then they got to work out what have they been up to. Boom, boom. Right? The facts are there. It's just the problem is if you were trying to explain this to the hospital or NSFT or any or the cops, any of those three, they would be like confused to begin with because they can't work it out. And I'm saying, look, I've got to a point where it's actually going beyond that now. It's realistic since I was 5 years of age. So from book 32 all the way forward, you've been getting me. And, and the only thing you can see is that I'm defusing a bomb right now because with the second generation got disrespected, right? The third generation are coming. They came in and they didn't have their back controller, might I add, and then obviously adding me in the cockpit, doing all the hard work, which I do, and I ending up defusing this bomb quickly before they make the wrong choices. So there's a big bomb, as you like to picture it, and I've got to defuse it. I get saved, I come out. Then you've got to work out this bomb is not me. It's about people complaining how disrespectful and how of this, and it's all coming through left and right and centre. But then you've got to work out why are people complaining about the railway? Why is this? I've got to stop the defusement. My grandfather's done this, my father's done this, and so have I. We won't take no BS because we know exactly how to defuse that bomb. But it's not like a type of bomb that you have in a building or whatever. It's it's a way that the customers really want cheaper train fares. Get on there. That's 5 miles. If you put a 5 mile railway line, right, and you're nearly charging them 100 quid for like a set of 3 or 4 people, plus £3 for dogs and 3 quid or £2 for the bicycles, I'm thinking, can you really be really useful on that? No, because you're benefiting, saying, look, make the price cheaper a little bit and realise what the boundaries are on that, because there's a lot of things that people are not seeing and not realizing. When you book your tickets, you to be honest, I'll be fair and square. If I was coming back and I was up there, I would say, look, go on the train, and I will set you a set fee where you don't have to charge too much overboard. Because by the time you get on the train and enjoying it, a lot of people say, yes, I enjoyed it. Yes, I did this. I bought food. I bought water. By the time it gets to the highest price, you're talking about nearly 100 to £120 because you paid your bigger amount. They got what they wanted. So is it like I'm saying to you, is it fair to drop the prices a bit during the winter? Obviously, you got events, you got activities. Yes, that builds up the money again. But reality, when you're bouncing out, if you were bouncing out like anything under the radar, you're ending up with this figure that could make them have more money at the end, but they're getting less customers because they're ending up with this problem. So so the fat controller, myself, is not defusing that bomb. So every time I'm defusing it, people up there, Norfolk Railway, the the let's just say the management think push up the prices, push up the price, push up the price. I say don't. And what happens is you need to defuse that bomb because you got people that been disrespected, which I have to take care of. Then respect them back in as they were part of they still part of a bigger family here. So the customers, the employers, the employees, then myself on top of that. So everybody's getting needs to get that respect back. And to defuse that bomb, you need to work out why this guy got set up, why this man got set up, why this woman got set up. And then you've got to work out, look, these people done hardest work the best way they can or been or educated in every way to learn the methods of the railway. They can only do so much. But when you're pushing someone to 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 the way they cannot do, I will always think about people's and customers and passengers and employers and employees. They all have strengths and weaknesses in every one of them. And I am pushing my leg on this one to give you the longest live stream you can ever have today than any other. I do apologise for being offline for a long time, but I want you guys to understand you've got to take a little bit of understanding on this and say, okay, I can understand the frustration. I can understand that you're not getting your money's worth, or I haven't got enough money to go on it. And it feels like, where do you think all this money is? It going to grow on trees? No, I understand that. But when people haven't got enough money, they can only contribute to the best of their education. It's like having education of dogs, right? You give them the best education they can have, and the education you brought them up with, and you can only go up so far. Say, for instance, I'm at the bottom. Let's say the customers and all the employers and the employees are all at the top of the pyramid, and then you've got five different sections, right? Those five sections could be kindergarten, like school, if you like to call it kindergarten, school, university, and blah 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 going on at the top. But you start at the bottom. You always start at the bottom, and the newcomers that are all get employed by the Norfolk Railway don't know all the methods. A lot of this requires track safety tests, which I have been through, so don't worry about that. And I know my strengths and weaknesses, and the people abused that system, which overrides the fact of trawlers method. So the cops come in, like for example, oh, right, I could tell the Norfolk Railway, you've been using that system too long. That's the worst scenario you could do. And get us the security? No. You go and help the person train up, right? The best way they can to the best of their compatibility. It's like a disability, right? When people got disabilities and they still helping the railway the best they can, they will do as the best they to their capabilities to much as they can do. You can't push or shove or push, pull or push because there's a lot of strengths and weaknesses. And I envy people to realise this is not a joke. This is not a decider. The cops should have investigated it more because they're rubbing it under the carpet. So when people have noticed things that I do pick up on my eyes and ears, I know things now that go beyond your top, beyond my own, just up to my granddaughter's time. So basically, if you think you're gonna get away with this, and this 3 times, people are gonna have to ask questions. And if they want answers, I will give them the answers. But this is not a crime. It's not a that, but it's, let's just say there's a lot of people up there that don't know the methods. I said, take your time, take the place, come back to me if need be. I'm always around. I'm the only hat available now, the best hat there is. But you're not giving me the best of the doubt. The Norfolk Railway think they own full control, right? Right? You can't assume that there are boundaries, there are safeguards everywhere for adults and kids. But where there is hope, there will be hope. But you've got to let and look, and police has to get involved and said, look, we want to investigate what you did in 2019. And they will get records of people's their dismissals, their no pink slips, people that getting discriminated, etc. And they've been sworn at. And I said, yeah, well, have you actually looked into this? And they will have all the letters, as they will do, and the cops will have to start realising, right, we're letting this all happen because we didn't believe the fact controller, right? The fact controller is the key here, right? If we put him back in hospital, he's going to end up, we kill off the franchise, we kill off the railways, right? The railways are the vital key, the reason why my grandfather set it all in motion with William Marriott and everybody else. I knew everybody, right? Even their descendants. And what's happened is this barrier that everybody's got on their heads and toes. I said, it's good to have a little listen of this podcast because this is maybe the last one I'll be giving you now because I've got to let my timeline flow forward naturally. But while I'm seeing all these problems, pressure points have been put in place and I'm defusing every one of them. Why? Because I know what's going on up there every day. And it's not a game. It's not a race. It's not a case. It's not about putting me back in hospital or anything. It's how you know these things. It's like you were, if people who are in the police, NHS, NSFT, all the nurses, and everybody else, and in the cop section, they all should know by the boundaries that the North Norfolk Railway are using them as a ruse, as a decoy, wasting police time, doing everything they can, wasting police time, wasting police time. When I tried to approach them back up there, they said, if you come on these premises, this is their own words, quotedly, if you come on these premises, we call the cops. They can't do that now because that's wasting police time. So if I don't do nothing wrong up there, they should realise, okay, there are a few hiccups here and there, but there's a lot of it is lies. Lies are lies, lies. And the hacks are defusing their bomb. So by the time there's a lot of porters and guards and all of that, they should have realised, okay, what happened here? What is happening in this? And I'm telling people there's a boundary on this. I'm not saying you should boot all of these players out on a board and say, look, you can't just kick them out. No, people had respect for that railway since the 70s, the 80s, then the 90s on top. But by the time I'm on board in 2001, then bang, 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 the game starts hitting like a ball, you see. But the thing is, by the time it was 2012 and starting to learn my way and methods and all that, people start asking, why? Why did it unfold at the age of 5 years of old for this man? And it's like saying, what has he got that we haven't got? I've just given it to you on the very first video, and that was done in America and my friend, private connection at the time. And he quoted, says, by the rise, by the rise of the Hatts, so does steam. Boof, steam did arise. Everything is starting to unfold naturally. But what police, the NHS, the NSFT, they're asking the same similar questions. And every time they do it, I said, the NSFT have defused themselves, so they have to let it play out. The NHS has to do the same, let it play out, because I'm giving people hope. Where the cops have got to do this now, they've got to have evidence and proof and facts. I said the facts have been played out for a very long time before these police officers were. It's like saying, let's take this from another angle, not away from the Norfolk Railway for a minute. Now, with the police's angle, they learned the stories as they did when they were kids, and they were like saying, "No, that didn't happen or didn't start up." Then the next thing comes along. They hear about Stephen Topham Hatt the third, me, of course, and the boundary on that is like saying, "What? Yep, this is all true. We got facts, we got proof, we got knowledge, we got everything. It's all there in black and white. Ding, 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 ding. We can't touch him with a bench pole." But the thing is, when the old generation goes, the new generation goes in. And every generation is in every department. It's like having three departments, not just one. So I'm dealing with the railway industry. The other two are on standby, playing the same storyline. And they, like I said, they could be friends, family, connections, right? But whoever my grandfather was friends with at the time, Sir Topham Hatt the First, obviously now deceased, now it's all coming into clearance for me in my head. So everything that's been unfolded in you, you say, what? Stephen Topham Hatt is alive and well, not dead. Book 32, Arise, at the age of 5 years of age. And that's no lie. And I remember it like it was the old childhood day. You're dealing with real life event, which is what my friend stated in America, my private connection there. He said it's a real life event. Don't mess around with it, which is true. And you're ending up with this big bombshell on your heads. No, not the cops have to realise we got to stay away from this premises because now the steam team are back. But then you've got to work out if the Hatt family members returned, where's the other three? And I'm not going to give out all my steam team and have our photograph taken, which was taken in 1958, and then another one was taken 10 years later. So that in the day, things progress forward. Then the diesel team just come along, boot boots out the second gen team, and then you got the third gen steam team. Now you got supposed to have four of us, and it really shines its boots when it does come to light. You've seen the fat controller move around sharing them, right? And then you're asking it what sugar, and people know that. The community as a whole know that. They know it's not cuckoo. There's too many witnesses, too many. Um, I'm not giving out names, just knowing they are witnesses, right? Knowing it's the truth, right? Because they let it play out. Right? If somebody broke the chain, right, for obvious reasons, there are a lot of reasons why, and it's just like saying, Okay, we believe that because we saw it happen. But we weren't on a platform at the time, or it's like friends among friends, right? So you might have friends that were friends with family, family friends, connections, and that builds up. But you see, when we are at schools, each school has NHS, NSS, right? Let me just let's kick up. You got what you got is that North Norfolk Railway is number one, Cops are number two, then you have the NHS, which is number three, right? It's a full circle. That is wise, right? People that know me, realistically now, the NHS has now got confirmation because they just realised that my middle name had a purpose. So now that's my first name, Stephen Topham Hatt the Third. Doesn't matter, but that's not the case. Then the cops get the memo if they don't get told, obviously, right? Everybody at the North Norfolk Railway were clueless because they didn't read the books properly, or they don't understand what was unfolding. So, from everybody that looked after me, you have my deepest gratitude. Now the third gen is now coming into play, that I do feel sorry for the second gen because they don't deserve pink slip. They deserve to have their pink slips. And however, they didn't deserve to be booted out like second cadets because they had more knowledge on me and my friends and my connections. You just booted out what you needed. You got needs and wants, and I keep telling people about this. A second bit of a chain here is needs and wants. And when people say, "Oh, we need the hats," or "We need Thomas and Friends to stay alive," they both want it or need it, and I say you're gonna get it. But the thing is, hats are real in Norfolk for slash Sodor, and then you basically got this big outcast chain here saying, "How do we defuse a bomb?" Right? A lot of people will send in the bomb squad, as they would call it, which it isn't. All I'm doing is defusing people's anger, frustration, which is what I'm doing, and I'm also trying to help them calm down and get the message a little bit clearer on a nice home note. But there are people out there that don't believe in what was going on. So you got people on the outside of all of this three parts, and then you need to defuse all of that. And there's a lot of information here. And when people think there's this little gobbledygoo or whatever you want to name it, I said, look, if I want to defuse this big bomb, it has to be done in categories. It's fair to say this is not an option for like saying, look, it's true, it's logic, and it's respect. The other thing that we have to consider is people's needs and wants. Right? Everybody needs Thomas the Tank right now. Right? Day out of Thomas. That's what I'm talking about. Not the real. Well, because the real thing's been active, now we're back to fix the problem that was dealt 30 years ago. So not my timeline. We're going back into the second gen, which I'm there to fix a problem. And I'm telling you guys, like, if like I said, the North Norfolk Railway, it's the kingpin job, right? I take an example. Then you've got the cops, it's number two. Then you have the NHS, which is number three, right? All of this is all catalytic, right? The North Norfolk Railway, right, abused their employees and boot out the volunteers on top, right, in 2019, which I will never forget, and I will never forget that memory, because that memory is going to be scarred on my family and everything else. It scarred me, obviously, and then the cops come in, obviously, number two, right? I told the North Norfolk Railway when I went back up there again, don't bother calling the cops because you're misleading them, which is number that. And I said, look, there are boundaries around this. So if the cops did get involved, they've been misled because the information is totally wrong. What they When you look at Matthew Stephen Manson, you're basically getting Stephen Topham Hatt. So in the end of the day, when the cops stay out of this because they've been brought up by their own childhood and adulthood of that, they've seen everything played out. But my family is so damn powerful. Then you got NHS, which is number three, and you don't technically want them in the strikers path because you're going to end up saying, "Oh, how can we be connected to Thomas and Friends?" Have you realised watching the series and the actual TV series and the RWS books actually told you the truth? That the big logic in all of this is the big finale. I'm not going to be giving out too much more information on this, but if the North Norfolk Railway continues to do their shenanigans, which is true, I said the North Norfolk Railway will mislead the cops, which is what they've done, and they confuse them, don't get me wrong, and the security in North Norfolk Railway is, a, is confusing and delayed, and it's confused the, the whole fleet, which is what I call them, the fleet, and I basically got the second gen that needs apologising. I've got a third gen that's starting. And I said, right, that's it. So what happened is the big question of all, of anybody's mind, is asking themselves the biggest question of all: correction. How do I correct the problem, or we can correct this problem and make it right for everybody? The police will have me on record now, like always, and the North Norfolk Railway will end up saying "holy smokes." No offence, but that's what they would say. The NHS has got false records to a point, and a lot of it is going to backfire. And I said I'm going to defuse the North Norfolk Railway first because they started the problem, right? So I'm trying to defuse that bomb. So who do I call? The NHS or or the police? The thing is that if I contact the police, as example, they come in and they will think it's all confusion and delay. But then they will start looking back at all the work they've done since 2019 and look up and say, look, this this is not a joke, blah blah blah. They will say a lot of things. They will come out of Sun of North Norfolk Railway or the NWR, and then they're ending up misleading the cops. So when the cops go back and read the Thomas books from book one right up to book 32. Now that's the first half, but it actually starts and tells you book 32 is when I was 5 years of age, right? So you have 5 years old, a 5 year old Stephen Hatt, who I am, Stephen Topham Hatt, right? Didn't become the Fat Controller until he was 37, right? Police made a mistake, right? They jumped over the North Norfolk Railway, right? And managed to meet me in the middle, obviously, the office. And they said, right, what's your name? Blah, blah, blah. And then what do? They get the NHS involved. So the NHS, right, I'm in, boom, boom. And I said, right, we had Duck. I said to my stepfather, myself, and my mother had to go back there with a friend of ours, a connection from the NSFT, explaining the situation that we know no ordinary individuals. But when the North Norfolk Railway is now witnessing what's unfolding is the actual events, and it's picked up on the big line here. And what people can't work out is that everything that's happening up there right now, it's like saying, I have to wait nearly 3 years before I can do anything, right? The cops can't do nothing, right? They got all the evidence and all the activity, right? I said, right, there's three pieces. One of them is a correct move, right? I made my move by sticking with the Norfolk Railway, right? This will counteract the NHS and the cops, right, separately, and it makes me do the right move, right? The problem is what I'm witnessing with my own eyes and ears. This is why eyes and ears are very important, right? People that have not watched Wild Northwestern's timeline, right from season 4, 5, and then the modern years, obviously. You got the early years of season 4 and 5, then you got the modern years, season 1 and 2, and plus my granddaughter Emily Helen Hatt, right? People are then asking, where's Richard? Topham. So then you've got to work out, I have to deal with the Norfolk Railway first before I can even jump. So I've got my own private connection from somewhere else, so it doesn't collide as much. Say, look, we need to classify and say, look, we want a connection in the Norfolk Railway to know what they're doing. But we couldn't, so what we do is we set a bait, a trap. My private connection in somewhere else in the middle keeps his eyes and ears on the ground and don't say nothing at all. Right? And then with the Norfolk Railway being premature, if you like to call it correctly, they probably realising, oh crud, what did we do? Yeah, well, from 2021, the day I revealed myself is the day the Hatt returned. Stephen Topham Hatt, precisely correctly. Matthew Manson doesn't exist no more. He's dead and buried, right? Because the name was an anagram all this time and nobody picked up on it. NHS is still making falsified documents. It's been a long time and it's been a long journey for you to realise why they don't end. So realistically, are the cops going to do something about it? Which they will not do because they haven't got enough evidence. Or they could send me somewhere else. But the thing is, there's too much truth to the past, the present, and the future that's unfolding correctly. So what do the police do? They let it play out because they can't do nothing with me. All they can do is support me in the best way they can. But you don't want people getting booted out of that Norfolk Railway because it doesn't give them. The Norfolk Railway will have a bad name to themselves, and they all end up with nothing. I have told there were 13 timelines, as I stated in my previous video. I stated to you all that there's only one timeline. So, with all that being said, while the Norfolk Railway are playing children's acts to a point and not realising that I know things and the cops can help anyway, but the problem is they will just say misleading information. Why? Because they have to let it play out. Because the Norfolk Railway has basically got themselves in a twist. So when it comes to a time where the Norfolk Railway needs a back controller again, they're gonna need my son to take over, which he will do for a couple years. Then my granddaughter will finish off the job you all once started. And then the Norfolk Railway will have no choice but to give me back the Norfolk Railway and saying, how do you know what we are doing without being asking questions or answers? I said, the NHS or NSFT were down my throat trying to ask these questions, but I said to them, in the end of the day, let it play out, right? The Norfolk Railway are now probably twisting their heads thinking, how does he know all of this? I said, look at yourselves. Do you think I dress like a loony bin for nothing? No, I dress up as the fat controller because I'm blood of the Hatts. Not easy, may I add. When you have a team member, a esteemed team member that's been really useful, how many of your, let me ask the question to all the community around the globe, how many of you have got ascendants that worked on the railway lines? You see, everything has a puzzle to this. Three pieces of the puzzle that are fortunately coming together because they are in little pieces, right? They don't come overnight, that's for sure. But what happened if the Norfolk Railway would not allow me back on? They will screwed up the timeline, which is number one. And number two, they will cause the death of the Hats. And number three, and all plain hindsight, they won't get the fourth gen. Right? The fourth gen would have been dead. Right? Or less interested to be working on the railway because of the bad recalls they had. Right? You see, then my granddaughter would be born, obviously. I'm giving you two different scenarios of how it will play out. Right? Right? So you got Richard Topham Hatt, which is my son, and then my granddaughter Emily Helen Hatt. So the first things first, in all plain eyesight, is ask yourself the question that everybody's asking: why is Richard so important? Why is Emily so important? I said if they booted me out, right, in 2019, they screwed up big time. They screwed up because they booted out the volunteers and the rest of the employees, as example, and the employers thought they got away with it. No, I would not accept that kind of behaviour anywhere, right? So, well, it made me stressed for a little while, thanks to the NHS. Without their support, I would not come back fighting. So now I am back, and they got three choices, right? The Norfolk Railway can do three things to recorrect this problem and anomaly, obviously, as you like to call it. The cops, all on the sidelines, just saying it's natural because they have to play it cool, calm, collective, right? You've got the Norfolk Railway. I'm using eyes and ears everywhere to know everything. I haven't done nothing since I came out. The only problem is the Norfolk Railway wants something out. They said, look, why is this man being booted out? But he was being pressurised and everything else to the top to the T, right? Let me just give you a different scenario on another handing on this, right? I did a good job helping certain people in the buffet, doing washing up, standing up, which is not too bad, right? You have a person with CP, scoliosis to the spine, and being formerly epileptic, right? Would you ever send a person like that to engine workshop area where you pour old seat covers and all of that? No. I would never do that. Of course I won't, in any angle. And I was looking into this, and I thought, right, this is going to be a long storyline, but it really is like a real true story. I said, since I was 5, I was doing all of this Thomas the Tank stuff in real life. It had to play out. So while all the taxi drivers all know about it, so you got witnesses, you got connections, and you got everything else, right? The North Norfolk Railway thought they could push it further by kicking out the second gen employees of the railway line in volunteers as well. So, right, I'm not going to give out names, but the fact is the North Norfolk Railway still can't work it out this very day. So, the logical thing is everything is in the model, right? In my position, right? Why? Because the North Norfolk Railway didn't realise they got 2 new steam locomotives to replace the other 2 they had lost or not able to use at the time, right? They didn't even realise, how did he know about all of this? And that's what's floating in their heads, right? So I'm giving them what you would call the ultimatum job. They said, if you don't let me back on the railway, there's going to be consequences. And it won't be my consequence, it'd be theirs, because their damage has been done first. So, with all of this damage been done, it's like a tree. So if you plant a bulb, right, in the ground, right, and it grew and it grew and it grew, right, there's branch lines put in place, right, like of the tree, and they start blooming flowers, etc., etc., and you start to learn these things out of left, right, and centre, right. The North Norfolk Railway has only got 3 options, right. It's like they killed off the timeline, which they cannot do. Secondly, is to apologise in public to to the rest of the community as well as the former volunteers and staff for their actions, which they will not do, right? Because they think they can rub it under the carpet. And 3, when they booted me out, they didn't realise I was a Hatt member of the family. Now, they got 3 choices, but there's one choice that will try and kill it all off and let the timeline play out without me on the railway. And they pursue it further and further and pull that string. But they cannot because I've got the stronger end. Why? Because I've got my grandfather's legacy behind my back. They haven't. They only got what you will call on the other end of this line, right? Which will make it interesting for you guys. I know every family connection that I had, or connections that I have, right? We consider the railway people of the past, of the London Midland Service, the LNER, and the Great Western Railway Company. We all have our connections everywhere. But they can't get rid of the hat that easy because I said boom, 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 boom. Why? You see, the steam team has to go through, but the hats have a different timeline. You see, while the cops didn't realise this, all the people that they saw kicked out at the North Norfolk Railway, right, right, was all misleading information. Now, when they realised that I was the last one to be booted out near enough, um, a lot of people said, we know who you are, we know you're well respected, we know you like this, we know you that. Right? I'm not giving out people's names because that's not what I'm doing. The North Norfolk Railway is ending up being closing down because they're running the railway, they don't know how to, and they need support. You do not take liberty of making people with disabilities and former volunteers and former staff out because that's the wrong way to go. And I pushed and I pushed. I waited until this is the right time for you to hear me out because there's a boundary in place that's safeguarding them as is you. So when people think I've gone off the radar, I'm not. It's about logic here. Is say, look, okay, the full circle is the globe, right? There's a Hatt member of the family that's watching eyes and ears everywhere, including myself, right? I'm watching because it's a family business. This is a family business under the radar. And a lot of this, what calculates all of this, people want answers, right? True. The North Norfolk Railway is the key to this. The cops didn't realise this. The Hatts exist for a reason. And I am getting to that vital point now. What do you want? I'm defusing the bomb now. I just don't like being, how I put this, all my friends, all my connections, colleagues, and all of that, we were the best fleet there was since the early 1980s all the way to 2019. Why is 19 so significant to boot out everybody else in the fleet or in the North Norfolk Railway? What did they do to the railway? Nothing. Why? I maybe sit down there drinking tea and watching the engines go by left, right, and centre and everything else. But did I do anything wrong? No. So what happened? People called out for the fat controller because it was me at the time, but they couldn't do it while I was on the platform. So now, the biggest key of all time is asking yourself the question: North Norfolk Railway disrespected everybody, not just the volunteers and the staff and myself at the time in 2019. It still progressed because obviously we had this problem, we had that problem, we had this problem. Then people start saying, oh, we've got this money issue. Well, have you really looked at it logically and realised you booted out the whole fleet near enough? I said, look, there's things I know that are that are careful in prying eyesight. I'm not a normal human being, number one. And number two, I'm specially gifted. And number three, I'm a Hatt by blood. But you see, when I said don't boot out me because I ending up saying I'm safeguarding people. Even when people think the cops should come in, jump in and say, no, you can't safeguard us. I said, yep, that could be a possibility. But the truth is, it's there. The North Norfolk Railway can't be trusted because there's a lot of problems they have in which they don't notice. If you watch season 4 and 5 of the Wild and the Restless timeline of Sodor the early years, before you get into the modern years, you will probably find out it's all anagrammed to safeguard me, but it's also there to safeguard myself. I am so proud of myself, of what I've become, but it's also the logical matter of it all. A lot of people are saying it's all bloody damn true, excuse my language, which I. So the realistic problem is, you're looking at everybody is saying it's true because a lot of it is like saying, yeah, well, let it unfold. You got the North Norfolk Railway on a rampage, right? They can't do nothing right now, right? I've been walking up and down those streets in Sheringham, or Cromer or West Runton. I'm going to be a Hat for life because I am Stephen Topham Hatt III. No one can't defeat me. No one can't take me down because if they try to take me down, there's no harm in it because in the day you're harming yourselves. And a lot of it is all true. It's all logic. It's all respect. I got to a point where you asking questions that the answers will gradually come to you. It won't come in one day. It will not come in every month. It's going to gradually unfold every day. So each time the Norfolk Railway wants everything on a silver platter, right? They're going to make mistakes, big mistakes that you're not going to be aware of. The cops are not going to get involved because that's misleading information. You know, I said, look, keep out of it if there's no fighting involved, right? They think they got the power to boot out a Hat. As example, I said you can't trust the Norfolk Railway with all their power, all their might, all everything. I said let's try and nail this in the coffin because it may have. Let's just say the day I left the Norfolk Railway is the day I wised. So in 2021, bingo. A lot of people still thought that was cuckoo language. I said, no, it isn't. People understand it because they're passing the message on. You know, don't let the world just be consumed of hate. The Thomas the Tank Engine community, right, has need their fat controller for a lifetime, right? They saw everything unfold before your very own eyes and ears. So now, if you were to try and rush this, we're going to end up with a time ticking time bomb. So I'm trying to do it slowly. But the North Norfolk Railway are rushing it. So have you noticed there are two new locomotives on site, right, which I picked up on, don't get me wrong. Then you have what they have in possession is what I know, which I will not give out info for. But I really need people to understand that Stephen Topham Hatt is who I am, the third. And a lot of people out there in London, Lowestoft, Cambridge, East Runton, West Runton, and Cromer and Sheringham, you all have to get your heads in gear and say, look, we want a fat controller, we want a fat controller, right? I want you to repeat that so many times to a poll. Save my life. Because life saving is better. There is hope. There is hope on every occasion. But the third generation are in total dilemma because they haven't got their third gen fat controller on the line. So if you look at everything that's been unfolding, things come in time. When people want questions that need answering, they can't always have the answers. Some of it is family secrets beyond your comprehension, beyond your own time. You know, everybody thinks they learn things through books, which they can do, don't get me wrong. And then then the cops will make it look at it upside down and they say, oh, crud, we are dealing with the real McCoy. We can't tell him he's overloaded, but the thing is, the barrier is already there, the black and white. I said, the safeguards. I told you in the last videos that we have told, we have put you in a place of safeness, security, and measurement. But we can't just allow the Norfolk Railway just to have their high prices in the high motion. And I thought I need done this podcast for nearly 2 hours, for God's sake. And a lot of it is like breaking it down in chapter one, chapter two, chapter three, whatever. But there is boundaries. And when you talk about the timeline itself, do you realise there's a bigger piece of the puzzle there that's in smaller pieces? So I have to be careful or the Norfolk Railway has to be careful, or the choices they make could make me go up there and say, look, no, you cannot do this because the community is who I'm aiming at. The community as a whole are the biggest product in all eyesight. Without the community, all my friends, all my family, there won't be no more Thomas and friends. All there will be is that you are left with nothing. You exploded the whole timeline and destroyed everything. I said there's a lot of things about this community that's more higher than the money that you earn in your own wages. I said I'm seeing things a lot more clearly and crystal. But like I said, the Norfolk Railway is need to be shut down for a bit. They got their priorities of having sexual events. But are you missing anything? Day out of Thomas or something like that? Well, excuse me, even if I am real, doesn't mean the franchise can keep going on and on and on. Because we are the real McCoys. The thing is, with a fat man's back, how how many of you I'm asking you as a question, how many of you since 1959 actually know the hats exist? Not many of you now. I don't like to bring this up, but I'm going to make it quite clear. The people that knew about it, they either presume, presumably had ascendants that told their descendants, pass the buck, and got to the bottom of the line, and then realised he's not joking. And I've got a lot of people and witnesses and a lot of subscribers still that are still interested in this topic. And people said the Steam team is an important one. And when you got the Steam team that's real, that's realistic, they can talk to you, we can talk to each other, etc., 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 then you're ending up with one problem. The biggest problem of all time. The Norfolk Railway is going to lose its security, which it will do. They will lose respect because a lot of people haven't got the money, which they don't have. And I'm not saying this out of weakness. This is realistic. It's like every day you are unfolding the story. I'm knowing it all without being there. So, being realistically, if you guys look at it from my angle instead of the other way angle and say, look, oh crud, he is right. There's new engines coming in play. They might come and visit the Norfolk Railway one day. They might even do that. But during my granddaughter's era, most of the steam trains would be gone because who I didn't mess up, but the storyline's telling you all. Richard Topham Hatt will do it for a couple years, which he hasn't done yet because he's not born, obviously. And then you've got my granddaughter who's not born yet. But then you've got to integrate that and say, look, okay, people have to look and say, oh my god, he's put the two pieces together and make us whole. Bang. But you've got to be realistic because everything that's happening at the Norfolk Railway, the third generation is getting the heat, right? People that are working there, they're getting the heat. They've been tested to see what their strengths and weaknesses are. But when somebody, if the employer goes to any of my volunteers or employees at the time and they start saying, "Are we going to put you somewhere else?" I want people to understand and wake up. Oh crud! They will test you. They will drive your patience to the T. I don't want problems that will occur every day. We don't. I know there are people that don't want to pay out nearly £100 for for a whole day's trip because in the day when you add it all up and equalisation all up, people won't play that. Not all the time. So the people that don't believe it right now are not picking up the signs beforehand. I said there's a reason why there's three little areas. I said the North Norfolk Railway is the key to my success, but it's also the key element why our family keeps returning. The last time you were, it's a bit like chicken. It's like chalk and cheese or chicken. What comes before the chicken? Normally an egg. But what comes first, a chicken or the egg? So you need to really work it out and say, okay, right, we need to concentrate on one thing at a time. You see, the North Norfolk Railway will not give up willingly, right? The third generation's got the heat right now. The third gen is probably working hard, been just getting paid to what they need to be, but the prices of what the North Norfolk Railway is paying, asking you to pay, I would say for 5 mile journey, I would have said £15 or lower because you can't say, oh, we're charging 20 or 25 or £30 just to do nearly a whole day's trip, where the whole trip is all there in black and white. I said Thomas and Friends community area, which I deal with as well, they all understanding of all of this. It's not about strength, it's about strengths and weaknesses. What can you do to solve a problem? The only way to solve a problem is understand what's in front of you, not the opposite direction. It's the other way of saying, look, right, people have told me this time and time and time again. The prices are going up, but is it really worth it to a naked eye? The third gen is taking the heat. What happens if their strengths and weaknesses cannot overcome it? People that got booted out in 2019, I empathize with them because they didn't deserve the boot out. I have seen people getting hurt, really hurt, and that's the boundary I am really cross off. It's not because I'm not cross with you indirectly, but when you're at the railway station like the North Norfolk Railway, regardless it does a 5 mile trip, prices are really too high, right? People haven't got that type of money on an everyday basis. It, the North Norfolk Railway is not normally a luxury, but they've seen it as a luxury because some people that are in control, maybe not the right people to be in control of. But there's a boundary. People know I'm kind hearted and caring and not frustrated. I may get frustrated a little bit, but not overdrawn, if you get my point. And there's people in the community that know things that are a lot better than what their outcome. So the physical formula is how do we minimize a problem and drop it? What I mean is the best way to solve this problem, right? You and the community out there have to make the North Norfolk Railway stand on its own 2 feet and let them play out their story. If their story continues the way they do it, which they will do, you lot have to stand away from the building and move away from it. It's too toxicated. If I was up there, I would have minimised the time bomb of the century. And it's not the easiest one to try and explain it, trying to deal with it. And I see things that other people cannot see. And then people are asking, how did you know about these things or about what was going on up there without you being in there? I said, did you know why Why I know these things is because of contacts, friends in high places, people who appreciate these type of YouTube videos that they know it's true and they will not go down without a fight. But there are people who don't deserve to be booted out. As example, you know, okay, when you got two, like let's say, people in charge, you might have two of them that were like fighting equally, fighting equally, and you got that stuck in the middle, and you're a one man army fighter, and you didn't do nothing wrong, and you know something's not right, and you know you got to put the pressures, put the put the brakes on the wheels, as you say, and then you got to say, look, we need to sort this out. I said the North Norfolk Railway is the heart of it all, but it's also the destroyer of it all. So if you look at North Norfolk Railway right now, before you come to me, let's ask yourself a question. Why do you think I know what's going on up there without being told? That's a secret answer and that's a secret question. But I've given it out to make sure people realise, say, I pay attention. I know what's going on up there. I don't have to be out of my mouth off to say what was going on. No. But the first thing is, the North Norfolk Railway has to clear them out, clear up their act and sort the problem out and say, look, okay, this man means business, but he's trying to clear what happened before the before the next bit of the story continues. So why have we got a blank in the middle, guys? Now let's start a question. Right, you walked right up to my childhood, right, from season 1 to 24, right. But you're seeing it from my great uncle's point of view and my grandfather's point of view. Then it became reactions again. Season from the age of 24 is how old my mother was, and then you're adding my timeline in as an adult. So you got me as an adult now, not a child. So you're seeing me as the fat controller from the age of 37. Now, if you say like you had cops, you had the Rail North Norfolk Railway trying to get and put NHS down my throat and everything else, saying, "Oh, he's gone nuts," whatever next, right? The North Norfolk Railway booted me out first. Then you have the NHS, right? Then you have the cops on top, right? A lot of a lot of problems have occurred, right? Now, because it's been 2019 onwards, right? The North Norfolk Railway at this moment can't take the heat right now. At this moment, I'm seeing them doing good jobs at some cases, yes. I'm not seeing any confusion or delay. But what I'm saying is, why is the customers not willing to pay what they are asking? Why? Because the North Norfolk Railway have made their prices too high. Too high. It's like they think just because they open up on, let's say, February or March time, they think, oh, we set our prices this high. 3 times, right? I looked at those prices myself because I'm the fat controller and I know what's going on. I said there's a boundary. Why we talk about it? Because we've got to get the open door. I said, look, if the fat controller knows everything, why is he picking it up? Well, let me put me in another perspective on this. The North Norfolk Railway has only limitations, very big limitations right now, right? Right? What should have happened when in 2019 the second gen and myself should never left the railway, right? Because certain, let's say let's say a stripper type woman, um, started to mouth off everywhere. Even her, let's say a colleague of hers, started to mouth off everywhere, tell all the volunteers and staff, to bug off, to swear, curse, everything else, and then you're ending up with nothing, right? New volunteers come in, right? They all, right, the 2019 second gen and myself, obviously, we're ending up fighting, fight, obviously, and now you're ending up with a new fleet that's coming, right? They got, they've been tested, right? Eyes and ears everywhere, right? I know everything that's been played out right now, and it's like a big, it's like a big chunk of stool, if you will. Every time I try and solve a problem, there's a bigger problem up the top, up the top, up the top. I'm not frustrated. Don't get me wrong, but when people think they can get away with that, no, you kicked out the second gen. You are not in control. So the third gen Fat Controller, who's still behind the bar, behind the schedule right now, right, said the third gen is still stuck in the middle of the page. Now, that middle page could be a blank, it could be something as normal, right? But then you've got to realise, okay, how did he get Richard Topham Hatt involved? Or how did he get Emily Helen Hatt involved? Right, because my son and my granddaughter. Now, a lot of you realise, look, something must be holding him back. Something must be holding him back. But he's wearing the Fat Controller's uniform in black and white. And then you've got the Norfolk Railway, don't even realise, oh crud, we made a big, big mess and holes, if you will. And I said the Norfolk Railway will not stand on its 2 feet for much longer because of the money is too pricey and it's too high. And a lot of people won't pay it just for one day. For one day, 1 week, whatever you want to name it. 1 week for £100, that's not bad, right? Because you're spreading out the cost. But if you were doing it for one day, for all over one day or whatever, all overs or whatever you call it. But then when you get to special events, you got no day out Thomas, and you have to look at it logically. Meant you have to look at it physically and look at me and understand why. Why are you doing this and why are you controlling? I said, did you realise I'm actually the one that's trying to save people's lives here? Because a safeguard's been put in place for both of us, the children and the adults. But the thing is, you've got to realise that safeguard, ding 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 ding, ding 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 ding, ding, has a time limit of its own. So if you really want to screw up people's lives and screw up whatever's happening in front of you, look at the Norfolk Railway as a whole. You know, the Norfolk Railway's not going to keep running all the time because if you play your cards right or play your cards right in general, right, the cops will do a lot more investigation, which is true. And then people are asking the biggest question: why do you know so much compared to these individuals that need support? They're my students, they're my school, and they my 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 teaching them what they need to learn. I said, go in every employee and volunteer up there. You guys be careful up there. You know, at the Norfolk Railway, because they're not the management are really are tight. When you really want to know like a tight secret, you got to realise, right, it's my turn to try to correct this, or you know what I mean. But you don't want the cops down your throat. Well, I have to see people face to face to get this correctness. I said, no, if the cops intervene, then we're going to have problems, all right? That's not how I know. So I know a lot of things that people can't pick up on. And it's so frustration for the Norfolk Railway not to realise there's a boundary. And I just cannot have them realising they're unfolding the story that the community needs rather than wants. But when they talk to me, they'd be talking to a hat member of the family. They'd be saying, you're the real guy. I said, yep, in every angle. And they will pick up on that language, and they will certainly be a lot more wary, a lot more fair, a lot more better, and more physical. It won't be like the other railway lines, heritage railway lines, where they all making up stories and all of that. That's not a problem. But the real McCoy has always been living in Sheringham in Norfolk in the United Kingdom. I said, yeah, why? Because it's Wellsworth upside down. Now, the in this case, can you beat that with the reality? Which it is reality because, okay, now I'm going to make this quite clear. If you do get stuck on the Norfolk Railway, just break it all down and ask yourself a question. Was that job really worth doing if you enjoy it? The answer will be normally yes for some people, no for the others. But then you got to work out your strengths and your weaknesses, which is number two. And then to get that chain going down the line, you don't want to end up on the where they put you in the carriage and wagon area where they ask you to pull out like or old seat covers and all of that. You don't want that because I've been there, got a t-shirt, and I tried it. Right? It didn't help me because I'm only physically disabled. So the person in charge at the time was acting like they shouldn't be. So I just, when she put me in that area, I said, right, that's it. I draw the line with her and said, you can't get rid of me that easy. In the day, I'd rather see every employee, every volunteer from the second generation, plus myself being the third gen fat controller, to be realistic and say, look, you need to stand up and believe in what you need to be knowing because the facts are there in proof. Now, the logical truth and logical of all of this is when the cops get involved in all of this, they're not getting the full facts of the story because every page turns every day. I'm not against them or anything like that, but they should say, right, I keep telling the North Norfolk Railway if they ever store me, they have got to understand we're not going to call the cops because we be misleading their information they need. Their evidence has put a lot of people on pressure alert, which is really not helpful at all. And when you think of that school, right, that school is like teaching children the basics, the middle layers, and the advanced layers, right? They may all have PhDs and all of that, but the knowledge that I gained grew in time. And a lot of people think, what, what is, why we got to do this? It's because when volunteers and employees that are new and they're joining up and they're getting the the staff they need and everything else, then you will end up having people asking yourselves the question and saying, look, the management are doing a bad job. They're not even considerate anymore. They're really harmful, if you will, not physically harmful, but they will what they do is they set people up, tell the management gets the message, and then he becomes like a misleader, and then he put an evil white signature at the bottom of the letter and proves it, and then it will send back to me or anybody for that matter, saying blah blah blah, you lost your what, lost whatever, going down the line, and then people say that's misleading information. Number one, number two, that is that is confusion and delay, and it will be also something else. So, but every time the cops get the information, they in the North Norfolk Railway Department, there's no such thing because the North Norfolk Railway is trying to run as its normal railway line of 5 miles, but you just got to put. It's like putting finances down to the people, the public, the community. They see it in the EDP, they see it in that. But then I just refreshed my memory a little bit and I was like going through this myself. I said They're doing it too pricey and too high. No one will never go on that railway without a decent amount of money, number one. Number two, it's become a luxury, not a voluntary area anymore. And then you're ending up at the third piece finding out you got a member of the Hatt family running the North Norfolk Railway. So the Hatt family are not bad guys, we're the good guys. And when the third generation needs hope, they only have to wait because they got their fat controller on a standing line, just waiting to return to solve the matter. But there's a bomb that needs to be defused, obviously three times, obviously because it's third generation now, not second generation, not the first generation, and all that. But the third generation was there, right? And then you've got the second gen teaching the third, obviously. But I don't like discrimination. That's one thing I do not like. It's discrimination. And with all that been said and done, ask yourself, everything that's come out of my mouth this very day is all true after all, and it does not make me as a bad person. It's helping you understand the logic of what Norfolk Railway is doing. The prices are too high. You're ending up going to another place, like, I'm not going to mention any more places, but you get the point. Then your customers will end up going to a competitor, if you will, and end up saying, "Oh, you're a little bit cheaper. We pay you." Why? Because you're cheaper than the natural railway system. So they will go to the competitor. So the competitor gets more money because they are standard prices. They don't end up saying, "Look, okay, there's the boundary between," like I said, the North Norfolk Railway is too pricey, even for events, volunteering. Volunteering is free. Being employed and employed. I know who's supposed to be up there. And in all plain eyesight, all the people that helped me in the past, you didn't deserve to be booted out. How much more I am saying this because it's now 2024 and the railway is stuck as hell. And everybody's asking why. This is from a lot of taxi drivers and around the globe, not just the UK and in all that, so asking themselves why. Why is this railway so damn important? You see, by booting me out, you're taking the key away from them, the vital key. So when the railway people think, oh, we call ourselves the North Norfolk Railway PLC, well, don't me tell you something, in the day, that name is meaningless because people do not get it. And there's a lot of people that will say, yes, there's people that believe in this. And this is why all the people are fighting back. The steam team fleet are fighting back. And even that, you got one major leak. You need to start prioritising up there at the North Norfolk Railway. They think they can do everything under the platter. I said the prices they do it is unbelievable. When I look upon my videos, when I'm offline or I'm watching it with you or I'm continuously watching it to make myself understand as well, it helps me, it helps everybody else. But you've got to understand the North Norfolk Railway, it's not going nowhere. It's who's in charge of it. I said, the only way to do this, it's my family's business. And why is that? People forgetting things these days. You may have informants and you may have other people that may know this as well. What happens if one of your connections is friends with mine, as example, and I am going to try and enlighten you in a lot of people that will enlighten you. You see, during the 1930s, early 1930s, I become what you call a weary man by blood. Right? Right? I know everyone. I know who I could trust. Right? Right? And I was looking through this like I would, and I just said, right, I know who I could trust. I know who I can rely on. But if people don't research their own backgrounds and their connections and who they could trust, my family is a very privatised family. We're not a normal race as such because we're Southern race, which is true. People that don't know what Southern race is people that are way blood, way families, way everything. It's all realistic in black and white. I said the Norfolk Railway has pushed their button too damn far that they've forgotten the biggest value in that. It's like treating a school and building it up. I don't want people to be misled by this, nor do I want to be making lose subs or people that are interested to know this stuff. But you've got to take instant on what they're doing because when you step into that premises, right, you want to be safe and secure. That's number one. Number two, you don't want to be discriminated for any disability you got, right? And in any aspect, don't let an employer overrule you, because that's what happened on me. So overall, the employer should never overrule the employee or a volunteer. Doesn't matter what age you are or what sex you are. It's basically just making that point there, just to say, look, no, I can't believe two employers overruled one volunteer. That's discrimination, there and then, right? But there are times where you might think, what do we get if we try to help you out? I said, you're a third genders, aren't you? Right? I was supposed to be what you would call a person who was in charge of the Norfolk Railway from day one. So when they booted me out, they instantly realised, oh crud. It was totally their fault. Number one. Number two, I had massive problems, little small problems. I won't say big problems, small problems. Right? I defused those bombs there, those two bombs, but there's a bigger bomb at the Norfolk Railway. Now, that's the key element of understanding the value of the bands of Libra, obviously being a star sign of Libra. We have the scales of time of bands. I'm in the middle and I'm holding two scales, right? It's like doing a cooking, for example. You got to get your head in there and say, look, I'm a businessman, but I'm not as tight as everybody else. I said I'm kind, caring, and everything. I've been built up on that principles, right? By the time I became a fat controller, which everybody needs, the Norfolk Railway should never booted me out. But because the pattern was in the reverse, I said, if you boot me out, Matthew Manson is declared dead, right? Not the person, the name, right? So they killed me off as Matthew Manson, not as Stephen Topham Hatt the third. So realistically, I'm saying to you guys, you, the cops, the NHS, they all got messed up by the one thing that could give them the evidence they wanted. Myself, the key elements, right? So the North Norfolk Railway was the heart of it all, right? The cops are the security, and the NHS has got nothing to do with it. So when you think about it, there's only two of them in play. So realistically, if you really look it down online and break down the chain of command, it's what people don't focus up at the top. I said I've got friends in high places. It doesn't matter which way you look at it. So when you start working at the North Norfolk Railway, you're always at the bottom of the chain, right? You're going up the ladder, learning new things as it will go, right? But there's one thing you do when they nearly reach the top. Their management at the time in 2019 screwed up. So you can't just say, look, this is that you've just booted out somebody more powerful than your money's worth. As example, I've just given you prime example. He started at the bottom. He worked his way up the ladder, up the ladder. But we did not know his life. We don't know everything. You know, in everybody's entitlement, that everybody is entitled to do what you call a top dog job, which it is in some cases. But you booted out somebody that is powerful in the family, somebody that needs, gives you hope. Hope is where you missed out. So now, when it all comes together in black and white for nearly 2 hours session, this has gone beyond my time limit that I really want to do it. Is to say, look, why the Norfolk Railway fails? Why did they fail? The only reason it failed, right, is to make sure and make people realise there's the whole community against this as well. The whole community is on my side because they know they're witnessing the real truth, not the logic or disrespect or out of place or demeanour. Everything was all told in truth. The problem is, oh God, we need to sort this out once and for all. The only thing is, you need to understand is knowing where the evidence is. The main evidence of all the past, present, and future was all tied together. And I really got to a point where I said, look, I'm coming back to the North Norfolk Railway, like it or lump it. Right? Right? The cops are on standby because they know the outcome. Right? So don't fool the stunt that's been realistic all your life. You know, you see, the cops of the past will understand my uncle and my grandfather's timelines and everything else. As they get older and older and older, when they leave the floors, that information stays in their head until they pass away, bless them. Alright? That's what happens to the cops. When the other new generation of cops come through, they don't have that information on them. So what do they do when they realise a Hatt is real? They can't do nothing because it's all black and white. So they read the books because I've been told. Then they see it happen in real life. And then you got the North Norfolk Railway now being stuck in the middle and saying, look, the NHS didn't get involved as such. Or they thought it was all cuckoo language, excuse my language, which it wasn't. And then you basically got the North Norfolk Railway stuck in the middle saying, where's our fat controller? Where's Stephen Topham Hatt the third? That's what they will ask for in any angle. And that's the major key they're asking for. So basically, you got a hot fused station up there that is not controlled properly. I said, look, there are boundaries of doing this correctly by the Green Book and the red tape, obviously. But to overpower a fact controller, right? That's not good on anybody's books. Nearly most of the whole Thomas community out there as a whole knows about all of this. If you really, really want to push it down the line and really knock me right out of the puzzle, right? You fuck up that puzzle, excuse my language. And it really drives me nuts because it drives me like saying, I've been honest with you. If you don't like it, tough. Because the result will be the outcome. So if the cops just realise, and the Norfolk Railway just lower their defences and realise, shit, it's a real life timeline. My mother and my stepfather Duck, they had to absorb this over time. My stepfather Duck, right, got it when he was 13, 40. Everybody thought he went bonkers. I said, no, it's not. So then what happens? The fat controller was being raised as he was being brought up by my mother, Dr. Hatt. So, with that being said, my mother brought me up with my grandfather on her side of the family. So I've been safeguarded by my own flesh and blood all my life. But you guys did not even realise they were safeguarding something more precious as gold. I said I'm more like anybody else, but the only catch is I know things that you don't pick up on. The third gen, it never ends for the third gen because there is hope. And that's one thing you got to allow it. Because when you look in the mirror, wake up every morning, take a coffee in the morning, whatever you do, don't think that I am gone the other way. No. NHS has got nothing to do with it. Because the nurses are already aware of let's say, they know about me. Why? Because they've done research. Doctors don't leave them out. Then you've got the cops that have to do more research the same way. I said, I stay private for a reason, but I'm only on this YouTube video only because I don't give out too much information as I used to be. But I'm giving you a full length of nearly 3 hour job trying to get people to realise they're not being played about. You just have to take a look on what you see. See and hearing are the two best resources in any aspect. If you know there is something wrong at the North Norfolk Railway, just make sure that you know it's unfolding correctly. Because at the end of the day, the North Norfolk Railway could mess themselves up as example. And they could one day, eventually, end up realising, why did we fail? Did we miss something? Did we miss the fat controller? Or did we do anything wrong? The thing was, they're taking out the thing before the thing. It's like a dog. Before you can give them a thing, before the thing, you got to teach them something before the thing to get the thing. You know what I mean? So when I say that, it tells you, say, if you want something so badly, you have to let it play out. It's a thing before the thing. And the thing is, the North Norfolk Railway messed up. You know, the way I was thinking yesterday, I thought with my private connection, Lexi, and I said to her that you need to keep this under the radar because sometimes a lot of what I do is business work, and that's why I do what I do, right? And a lot of it is all this and that and this going forward. I'm trying to work my way back into the fold. So when you actually look in the mirror again, ask the question that you can't answer. Because there's a lot of us that are specially gifted for a reason. But the North Norfolk Railway is failing slowly. But when they get to bottom of the chain, they're going to ask me to come back because they've got nothing else to retry and reboot it. I said that's going to take me a little while now because what they've done is they pushed the timeline further back. So effectively, with the 20-year railway service gap I've got right now, plus I've got to get my child Richard Topham Hatt, and then my granddaughter Emily Helen Hatt. I've got that on top. So every day you think of the Fat Controller third gen, just remember that you're dealing with real life, not a fictional side of it. It's a shame that a lot of people can't put the pieces together so quickly. If I try and push you all to do what you need to do straight away, to a lot of my friends and connections and colleagues, they should know this instantly. You didn't. The second gen did not deserve to be booted out the way they did, right? I, I admit to that because I know I watched it, I heard it, I saw it, I dealt with it. But I did not want to tell the cops this because I saw this happen. I witnessed that. I saw it. Bang. But I'm not going to give it all on a silver plate. I have to hit it at the right note. But now the North Norfolk Railway is getting the engines, which is witnessed in Wild Northwest's timeline. Now, a lot of you are now wondering, okay, something's not right here. But someone's telling the truth. You see, the North Norfolk Railway is going to end up failing because they didn't have their Fat Controller on the line. The thing is, when I notice prices out of the blue compared to other heritage railway lines as well, a lot of what is going on, the North Norfolk Railway is very important to us all. But there's a boundary which they're crossing, which I'm telling you now. They're trying to cross it, but they cannot. Only I can because I'm a hat. I'm physically more higher up, if you say correctly. But I'm not going to be bullied or cyber bullied, even that. And just say, look, okay, this is not the cops' problem because their problem's still crime, right? The North Norfolk Railway went over everybody's heads. To be honest, you know, I have got contacts everywhere, and it does make people ask questions, and they want the answers on a silver plate. They can't always have it straight away because it might happen in front of them, and the answer will come clear. But you just cannot jump at the gun and say, right, we got to do this because I see things that other people cannot see. And every time that people ask questions or ask answers, I said, have you seen this engine before? Or I say, yep. I'm on Twitter, I'm on YouTube, but on anywhere else I'm privatized for a reason. But the thing is, you need to realise North Norfolk Railway has got to realise the thing before the thing, before they can get what they want. You know, so without me being the fat man guy up the road, who I'm supposed to be, of course, Stephen Topham Hatt has not been recognised. Why? Because the Hatt name has been revealed to them, and they think I've gone bang, bang, bang. No, that's going to stop because that's the bomb. You see, they're giving you a time bomb. So basically, they're waiting to get rid of these 20 years. Within these 20 years, I've got 20 years of service. Plus, I've got to get married, have my kid, and then the kid has my granddaughter. Right? The thing is, what you have to look at, Wild Northwest is trying to tell you, but I'm telling you in anagramming it for you slowly. This is not a pieces that are going to come in time. It will gradually slow down, and because it's not as quick as Thomas and Friends to Sears, for example, or Wild Northwest's timeline, they still have to be 20 years slower than what it is. So, in layman terms, it's showing the cops one thing, it's giving the North Norfolk Railway a red target or red flag, right? Then the NHS has got nothing to do with it, right? Because I have to rule out what is actually important. So when you got this time ticking time bomb, if you like to call it correctly, you're ending up losing what you've not gained. And it's pushed and pushed and pushed. I said the Midland and Great Northern Joint Railway and the Great Eastern had a lot to play in it, but not all of the railway lines are all there. You have to remove some of them, like anything. You see, when Dr. Beecham came along in 1968 to 1969, most of, of let's say, the Midland, Great Northern and the Great Eastern lines, you missed out half of Thomas the Tank's lines. Oh yeah, there's Thomas the Tank's time railway line exists, yes. Is Knapford available? Yes. Is Orsted available? Yes. Is Timber Bay available? Yes. Or is Oldsburg West available? Yes. With Bluffs Cove? Yes. Then you've got to work out Mariners Wayborn, and then you've got Sheringham as well as Westfield, and Crosby is actually West Runton. So when you look at that time, and then put the old railway lines in, then you will have like Kirk Ronan as Hanstanton, Vickerstown as South Lynn. Then you've just got to add the dots yourself. But the thing is, when things comes to shove, when people want things so badly, they want Day Out of Thomas on the North Norfolk Railway. Are they getting it? No. Why? So it doesn't stop that. Having the real McCoy back controller at Sheringham should boost their profits a little bit. But then the thing is, did Britt or Croft know about this? No, because she was not aware of it being realistic. So when she realises that this can't be, well, it is, and I'm sorry, it's just like saying, when I said the timeline is continuing, but the thing is, you got to realise, oh, we can't go near him because he's the one who's controlling. He knows what's supposed to happen on the railway line. So we can't tackle him like a bullet and shut him up. No, you can't. So we have what you would call a safeguard put in for me and everything else. It's like a barrier in every corner around the globe as well. Don't get me wrong. And when the North Norfolk Railway starts to fail, don't cry wolf when you want something bad enough or you need something bad enough and say, look, the North Norfolk Railway will eventually fail. But you just got to watch how the trains are running. Hear it, see it, smoke it if you have to, because I know I'm not laughing because of joke of it. I'm doing it for realism and a lot of reasons. And there's a barrier after barrier and after barrier. Is people gonna realise that the North Norfolk Railway is not as cheap as it used to be? No, because they think, oh, it's a one-time off. We go on it, right? Okay, gives them about £100 every time, right? Now with 100 people, 200 people, they will. We can't afford that because we are regulars in sharing them as example, or Wellsworth as example, and I'm not gonna let myself down and say, look, we are the third geners. We're supposed to be protecting that railway station, going on that railway station. Where's the back controller? Where is everything else? How did he know all of this before it happens? How did he crack it? How did he then the part? Let's just say my grandfather left me with the biggest wish of all time, right? But it was done by my DNA. So, with all that being said, people are asking the biggest question: how do we get the fat controller back on the railway? That's me, of course. You don't want to to integrate where it's going to get toxicated. But the way I was treated, and the rest of the G2 staff, the second gen staff, got tweeted and all that, and volunteers included. I said, not a good idea. It was not a good idea. That was 2019. So I will not forget that. It made me it made me money pocket for you, for certain people who are probably watching this and try and work this out in their heads and try and work out, oh crud, what did we do wrong? I said if you didn't watch Wild Northwestern season 4 or 5 or Sodor or the early years as they call it, you wouldn't know what was ahead of you. But it's playing the head of you now. Because now you watched in fiction, now it's happening all in reality. You cannot mess around with me or the Norfolk Railway. The Norfolk Railway are coming down because they're losing people. Right? When they reach the bottom, then there'll be a total red flag on them because they will never learn the mistakes they've done. They will never sort their own mistakes out, sweep it under the carpet as they do. And then I come in, and then they are thinking they're at the bottom, they can't do nothing, and they can't move forward. Right? They're only doing when the fat controller rises, so does steam, which has been happening. Right? No one's paid attention on that, but people have. People have round the globe. They know everything. Like I said, the hats are back for a reason. So when people think I'm not watching or hearing, I said, watch it, because I've got eyes and ears everywhere. And I'm not up against anyone, but realistically, look at the North Norfolk Railway's prices first before you start saddling up and going on it, right? Then, number two, right, is where it builds up. You got your foundation, right? Then you got your school, obviously, been the next one up the line. Then you will have your high school, and then you have your PhDs, right? Where I fit in all of this, right? I'm right at the top with the North Norfolk Railway, right? The top dog, right? So the North Norfolk Railway is actually at the bottom because they haven't learnt nothing yet. So when they are running around in their heads thinking, why this guy's doing a long podcast, I said, look, do you guys ever witness or keep a diary? Even that, if somebody abuses you, then I'm on. Game is on for me. When there's nothing on, game off. Because I'm learning as I progress. But to get back up the chain, right? Some of you that might be going on a Norfolk Railway could be the steam team of the fourth generation or the fifth generation because of my son's got a part in this. My granddaughter's the next one, the last hat on the field, the fifth generation. I'm not going to be stuck in the middle where it's going to be a failing mission because it isn't. Because I know how the pattern works with the hats and my family. And I said, look, my grandfather was top because he always had been. But plus you've got the senior years, which makes 90 years behind that. Then you got my grandfather, my father, then myself. So while we were producing kids trying to help you keep the Hat family legacy going, you got the third gen Hat, not married yet, ding, 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 waiting, obviously. And then you basically got the biggest card is Lady Hat herself. But something's not clicking in the correct way to work it. Somebody at the Norfolk Railway doesn't want something to happen. Because if I went to my office in Cromer, in Knapford, and I've been doing what I was supposed to be doing, and the Lady Hat doesn't show up, then there is problems. right? So the realistic thing is anyone that lives in Sheringham, West London, Cromer, Norwich, Lowestoft, or Great Yarmouth, the rest of Norfolk included, and start realising, God, he is not lying. If he wasn't lying, he would not be laughing, right? So, so while the Norfolk Railway is running right now, right, because it's early season, the prices are too high, and you've got something else in play, right? What they're trying to do, right? This is what I know what they're going to do. If they play their cards right, right, everybody that's been learning from the bottom up, right, or starting to learn, what they will do, the management will then boot out nearly ones that are not effective enough. You know, like strengths and weaknesses we talk about sometime sometime podcast ago. And strengths and weaknesses are very, very important. And when you're talking about strengths and weaknesses, this is how the fleet got booted out the second when the second fleet got booted out. I never authorised it. Not guilty. Right? So then you basically got the second gen fleet all booted out by two, let's say two bloody individuals, excuse my French, and their colleagues, just a few, not too many. This is all the management. And they all went down, they all got boot. Right? I disapproved of their behaviour in 2019 because I was a target. So now, the Norfolk Railway is running like normal, but at the bottom of the food chain right now, it's me saying, "Why are you at the bottom?" When you actually revealed yourself as Stephen Topham Hatt, the real McCoy. Oh boy! And it's not a lie, and it's not a falsified trick either. The only thing you got to do now, the Norfolk Railway is at the bottom because they got to build up their education. Not every volunteer is not going to come in every day of the week. We know that because I done a track safety test in 2001. I built up my skills like any other individual, right? But when I on 2019, then the whole problem started. So if you really want the Norfolk Railway to continue running as it is, don't get don't get that big piece of a puzzle. You're doing it in small slices. So I'm trying to express how can you get around it without exploding again and make the family not accessible anymore. The only thing was, the first things first, I am Stephen Topham Hatt, the third, at your service from fund until then. But the fact is, it's my real name already there in black and white. The thing is, the cops will have to now initiate as they watch it because they have to take notes rather than just take down the video, whatever, what YouTube normally does. And the thing is, they have to look at the boundaries of what has been happening. I said, have you ever seen the new engines yet? If you have, or you have taken notes, or but there's nothing wrong about it. It's just about understanding protocol. But I would advise you, your fat controller needs to get back on that station because something is not right. Little small pieces come together all the time, but you don't want to be in a position where you're being pushed out. So when I said about the pyramid and the PhD at the school, kindergarten at the bottom, right, the Norfolk Railway is nearly gone, kaput. In the end of the day, you have to realistically say, look, They're running their steam trains, they're running the DMUs and all of that. But when you break it all down, it's not worth paying the money for, because sometimes the DMUs can run instantly. What they're asking for money for more of, right? Because once you pay for the ticket, this is where they trick you. If, like, once you've done that and paid for the food, you're paying more than what you are actually enjoying it for. So when you're talking about the North Norfolk Railway in general, the hat should be with you at all time on the North Norfolk Railway. But I've been waiting patiently, don't get me wrong, but there are boundaries that when my friends and my connections and colleagues know about things before you do, just ask yourself a big question. We are not backing down. It never ends for the third generation because there is hope. And I'm going to really put it down in line. I said the North Norfolk Railway is failing. But you got to realise why. Just make sure you realise that I would not be here unless my grandfather set it in motion long time ago in 1958. So if you think 1958, then probably 1968 because that's his next one in. And then you basically got, but you see, my family has been trying to keep themselves sealed up for obvious reasons. But now I'm here, I'm alive, I'm well, and everything else. Just ask the question. I try to repeat certain phrases again, again, and again because there's so much information. But the realistic job is you cannot rest until I'm back on track with the North Norfolk Railway. You see, like I said, in 2019 was their own fault, not mine. They think they got away with it. I said, yeah. When they think they got away with it and they got rid of and what that now the third generation to the fourth generation is in play. But without the hats not being united, we're gonna have a severe problem. But we don't want it to be a problem. So without me being on the North Norfolk Railway, right? You got staff that are stupid, right? Not thinking straight, not realising it, right? People know things better than they do, even myself. And that's the reason why I am that's why I'm taking it very seriously rather than laughing it off or not laughing it off. You gotta be a businessman to do the job correctly. The North Norfolk Railway is unfit at the moment because they didn't fix everything they need to fix. The thing is, it's thing before the thing, right? So to get things corrected, you have to establish he's a hat, he's in charge. You right? It's a thing before the thing, right? The North Norfolk Railway, right, is trying to establish something what they shouldn't done. So it's a thing before the thing. So when people ask what people's needs are in the community of Tom's Tank and Friends and the real life version of it, of course, it's the thing before the thing. So if the thing came before the North Norfolk Railway, right, the community got what they needed, right? Bloodline of the hats are back in line and everything else, right? The North Norfolk Railway booted me out before I became the fat controller. So who's lost out in the end? The North Norfolk Railway, because now they're playing the story without me on it. So what do? They're trying to fix the bloody problem without the cops or the NHS for that matter. So they're trying to fix something which they cannot. Why? Because they're taking out the main player. It's like saying, checkmate, you're out. Right? No, it's the thing before the thing. Think about it. It's like saying, you're not going to get rid of me that easy because I fired balls at you, back at you. A thing before the thing. So when the Norfolk Railway got the memo, it's turned their light bulbs upside down. So when the thing before the thing comes to light, so when the light bulb comes on, the Norfolk Railway gets hit and said, what? Shit, we've done something that should not have been done. So what did they do? In 2019, they actually kicked out something they should not booted out. So a thing before the thing, which is true. So after they booted me out, they got the thing they wanted. It's the fat controller, me. So when you think about it logically, it's the thing before the thing, which is true, and the barrier that's stopping them from continuing it further. So when you got people that don't believe in it, ask them a question that will overthrow them a little bit. It will throw them off a bit. I said, do you believe in this person? And if they say no as the answer, right? Just ask them. You just screwed up somebody's timeline that's supposed to be played out. So when the Norfolk Railway gets a memo back and say we want a fat man, right? And they say no, they will find me and locate me, right? Which they could do, or they could go straight to the Norfolk Railway and summon me up. So there could be two ways there, and the third one will be is that there's a big but on this, but there's also a proper way of saying if somebody came along to the Norfolk Railway and said the same thing, and they said we don't know any fat controller in any world, and I would say who keeps you in check. It's something like that. But the thing is, the Norfolk Railway in general have got engines that are running from World No West's timeline. And so when they wake up and smell the coffee, there's House Hazel, for example, the B12, she's still on her overhaul. So when they think about that, ask yourself the question, if, oh, have you heard about the engine called Ryan? Yep, he's on a Norfolk Railway as well, but he's not driving at the moment. So there are quite a few engines I know of. So when it comes to push to shove, when people start moaning about prices or the fat controller or anything like that, it will all come back on me because I'll work it out, right? The fat controller, me, obviously, Stephen Topham Hatt the third, will get the memo outside the station through eyes and ears everywhere. So I'm doing what I am supposed to be doing, a job that doesn't need to get paid. The Norfolk Railway says, right, we got these engines, but why? And I say, I know, and they will be like clueless because they don't. I said to them, it's a thing before the thing. So work it out. If I came up and rised in 2021, that's what they got. Their engines. And then they're asking, why we got these engines for? That's what they're asking. But they're asking the questions to the wrong people. So when they say, when the fat controller rises, so does steam. So that's what's happened. So who screwed up? The Norfolk Railway. Because their prices, been number one, then booting out the volunteers and staff, G2 obviously. Then you got the fat controller, rised instantly on the record, on time, may I add. So when you read the Thomas the Tank books again, they all come to light in your head. Then the third gen will actually say coming in, coming in, coming in, coming in the opposite direction, right? And now you have a railway station that's not Hatt controlled yet. So when you got a Hatt that's waiting on the other end, it's telling them, wake up, smell the coffee. It's reality. This is not fiction. This is reality of it. A lot of people might think this is not happening, this is not happening. I said it has already happened, mate. Grow up. It's like saying to them, it's like even now I said there's boundaries on the line here. You may give out all the signals and all the clues, the station would, right? And I'm still a bit in basically like a closed door, basically saying we don't want you, right? They're going to end up refusing that. They're going to keep refusing that. And as my timeline grows, as it will go through the book, as it will do, it will eventually ask the biggest question of all time. What the? They will ask what the hell's gone wrong because they don't know the answers because the answers are always right in front of them from the day as they were born and the day the second generation was born. The second gen got told by the first. The second gen never told the third. So when the third gen came along, it was been one big puzzle for me. So when the third gen hat come along, which I did, the Norfolk Railway saying you're cuckoo, put me in hospital. So then when they done that, I got out of that system and I said, right, do me your homework before you jump off the cliff, because the hats are back. And realistic in the day, the Norfolk Railway failed. But they're getting all the engines, but they left with one problem. The Norfolk Railway is the problem. It's always been the thing before the thing. Let me just acknowledge that. So, when you're in school or you're in college, there is one thing that you can learn from this. It's the value of support and hope of the third generation. But you're not going to keep backfiring off like the Norfolk Railway did, because I want you to have hope. Hope is where I need you to be for the fourth and the fifth generation. But we, as hats, we have to be back on the railway line because everything I do is all there in black and blue. So when you ending up listening to all of this and writing some notes down, you will end up thinking, he's right. Thing before the thing. So that's a quote from Susan Garrett, may I add. Very popular woman herself, may I add. So, with that being said, the thing before the thing. So, end of the day, the Norfolk Railway failed because they messed up. What? We messed up, and the fat controller jumps in and says, "Look, no, 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 cut that out at last in any angle." And then cut that, and it was just say, "Look, a lot of things that I wanted to do now have to go forward." So I still ending up getting control of the station because regardless the steam trains are coming in out, in and out, in and out all the time, right? The DMU they built, right, was should not happen at all, period. So then you got that. The chain of command doesn't come from the person's person's actions. It comes from the heart and soul. So a person that's really useful, like myself, knows exactly what to do with it and say, look, it's thing before the thing. So if you really want something bad enough, or you want the fat controller up there where the Norfolk Railway failed on you, just remember, don't give them happy faces every time because they're going to end up throwing the gag at you saying you're not worth it, right? Because that's not the case I want. So the management that's in charge right now, depending on their personalities, right? When this has all happened before your time, you've got to put the pieces together and realise, why is the Norfolk Railway not running smart, you know, correctly? Nearly half the world knows the reason why. The Norfolk Railway doesn't give a damn about about the about me, but they give a damn about the money that's coming in, right? And the customers, right? The whole world is getting that signal, right? Saying the hat is back, the hat is back, right? Which is myself, right? They will continue and continue and continue, and they will drive and said, look, we're helping this man, but you are pushing your luck, the Norfolk Railway. That's what they see, because they look at it upside down instead of north. So when you're looking when they look upside down and you look north all the time, ask yourself a question: where's the railway of the fat controller? The answer has already been told to you once. I don't know how many times I've told you this. Not once, not twice, but 3 times already. I have pushed and really helped out a lot of people to try and give them the answers they want. I said it's the thing before the thing. It's like training a dog, basically, but you're teaching them bloody, let's say, teaching the railway company a thing before the thing, because you're starting fresh and you're starting new. You got the thing before the thing. So when the fat controller, the third gen comes along, which is me, bang, I came in when they booted me out. So now you got the thing before the thing. So now, before I came along, right, to get me, you have to get the thing before the thing. To get the thing, you have to earn it. But to get me on back on that railway line, you have to learn that the cops have made a big judgment error, not looking at the 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 list, the employees list, and all of that through 2019 and 18, 17, 17, 16, something like that. And then they will look at my name, obviously, and then the next thing they will do, it will say, look, oh God, this young man was telling the truth all the time, and he didn't even listen. We didn't pay attention. So the thing before the thing, basically, that thing that you wanted and the community wanted as a whole, this is why it's all backfired in your faces. The thing before the thing. So when the whole community knew the truth, and it's going through their heads like a 10,000 miles per hour, I said the thing before the thing. So when the North Railway messed up, they booted me out at the same time. The second gen never got apologies or pink slips or no extra money or respected for doing their job as they were doing it. And then when they booted us all out, the 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 second gen and myself obviously, and what they've done is the thing before the thing I told you about just 2 minutes ago. When they boot me out, the second gen got the thing they wanted, the fast controller, third gen. Now it's happening again slightly because now the third gen fleet are going in, and now they want the fat controller that risen. So so they want the thing, they want that thing before the thing. So in layman terms, if you break it down like dog training, you're ending up with this big puzzle piece. I said the Norfolk Railway screwed up. All right, we know that. So the G2 fleet got the fat controller third gen just in the nick of time. It screwed the Norfolk Railway over, which is true. Everybody's starting looking up all on my YouTube and all of that. looking at all the research and all that, and then all the answers slowly started to pop up. Right, I came in back in the game near enough. The Norfolk Railway didn't clear their act up. They bring in the third gens and said, right, we teach them the new ways. We don't give them the old ways. I said the old ways are still critical to their foundation. So by removing the early year stage of this development of Thomas and Friends, you screwed up the New Year situation. So it's like a foundation again from the early years, obviously. Then you have the school years, then the college years, then a PhD. But to get round the Norfolk Railway's attitudes, which they give out, my add, to get me back in the game, you tell them you want the Fat Controller because he's the main player, right? They booted me out just in the nick of time for me to reveal myself in 2021. So then you got to work out, why is he talking about the thing before the thing? Is it obvious that I am actually trying to give out a little hint and a clue and a reason why I'm learning all of this in one day and 1 week and 1 year or 1 month, and you thought, there's a lot of problems with me? Well, there wasn't. You all backfired your own selves. So everybody that was originally in the fleet to begin with, they all knew my secret. By the time I got booted out at the same time as them, the secret was revealed. So, when the Norfolk Railway screwed up, which they still do, they got a third gen fleet going in there without their third gen Fat Controller. So, what's happened to the Fat Controller? Let me put this in perspective for you in layman terms, because I know a lot of people. So, realistically, by listening to me out, you're learning things from me. This is not about winning. It's about understanding why the Norfolk Railway is still failing. I catch them out. The employees that are already in there, they've got nothing to blame. It's the management. If the management are not doing their job correctly, then I will rearrange them with their strengths and their weaknesses. Learn about their if the Norfolk Railway's got discrimination on their radar right now, it's because they discriminated people from 2019. So if you think of me having that as a burden from the beginning, from that 2019 onwards, work it out and work out why, as he took on a lot of work, pressure, if you will. I took that pressure because I was the one that I was in charge. So when they got booted, then I had no safeguards for me at that point. At that point, then the third gen comes in and said, we are your safeguard now. Because the third gen are in the Norfolk Railway right now, and they need me on the railway platform, right? It will make my day. It will make me happy. It will make me straightforward to do the job that I was set out to do. Not sit down like a basically learning it out again. Basically, I'm relearning what I already gained. But I'm older, I'm a mature individual that took on the responsibility, right? The cops don't know that, but they will soon work it out in their minds. So with the Norfolk Railway, like doing their job right now, pulling the steam trains along, which I love doing. I do train spotting on a platform for safeguard reasons and safety positions. Now, I said to the new generation now that they have done nothing wrong. It's the management that caused the bloody problem. So if you think they could boot a Hat out and make me reveal myself, why did they make me reveal myself when the railway is needed the Fat Controller on the helm on the spot? There was in the day when you add it all up, it makes sense. Little pieces come together, right? You can't have all the answers in one bucket. But the bottom line is Norfolk Railway failed because they actually are the North Western Railway Company, owned by the Hatt family, after all. So, with that being said, when the second gen was safeguarding me until they got booted out, I wasn't impressed with the management's methods. I wasn't impressed with their attitudes, their language. What do you call it? When they turn off the cameras and they got if nobody's seen it, you don't get the blame. Basically, if we didn't see it, it didn't happen. Basically, is the words. And with all that being said and done, I said, yeah, you have caught. I had to ask my own management what they've been up to. I said, what have you been up to? I said, look, this is me personally telling you what's been happening in those closed doors. Oh yeah, I've caught them out doing a lot of things, but don't get me wrong. But then, me being the obvious one and really, really useful, I'm sure the second gen got booted out slowly. But by the time it was 2019, you had people with vulnerable backs that did better job sitting down in the office, as example, or something like that, right? They pushed me to the limit, right? Big time limit. And it's not a game, it's a real life event, right? I'm not going to be backing off from this, excuse my French. But as a hat, does that give a little bit of people a bit of a recall on a system to say, look, okay, we screwed up. We could have done the job better. Yes, it will boost up the morality in the area or the station or any place you're in, publicly meant. You know what I mean? So when you're sitting down and really understanding all of this from my eyes and ears, I'm also doing it from my grandfather's eyes and ears as well. So I'm not even out of the woods yet. So when you think about people taking this seriously, just remember if the taxi drivers notice it, so would I. And I would not hesitate to say, look, I know you want me back up there. I know a lot of the community and sharing them. I know the whole lot of community and crowmen want me back on that station. But for me to get back on that station, they have to admit on the mistake they've done beforehand. So it's like breaking the ice, but you're not. Because what they've done wrong is 10 times worse than putting somebody in prison. That's the worst thing you can do. So to solve the mystery of all of this is like why it's a three-piece puzzle. It's like understanding all of that in nearly 3 hour, 4 hour podcast. I said I'm not gonna backfire. This is the total truth. The reason they have to really understand if the taxi drivers know about it and the community knows about it, they're gonna ask one big question. Have you right? Americans will check the prices out. Then they will also check it in European. So they check it in different languages. And they will find out it's too much for us to pay. Even if we want to visit Norfolk to come on a Norfolk Railway. It's not going to happen because the prices are too expensive. And the fat man is basically on the sidelines. So with all that all in perspective, people saying it's true, what's unfolding. So if you if a lot of people know their eyes and ears quite well, I said I'm sorry if this podcast is very long and it normally is, but I'm not a bad person. Overall, the hard part is getting people to realise, wake up, smell the coffee, and realise it's real. Because in the day, people that don't believe it, you're going to end up losing a lot of things that you want or need. And so, with all that being said and done, the Norfolk Railway's got a lot of owing up to do. And if they can't own up to the mistakes they did, right? I was only was in that railway line for one reason, because I felt comfortable. If the comfortability doesn't overwhelm me a little bit, if I know there's something wrong, I'll sense it. I pick up on it, on body language, eye contact, and when they speak to me. And regardless of everything that I see and hear and do, bang. The thing is, I'm gonna have to get everything fixed up because in layman terms, you're gonna end up with a sticky situation. But the thing is, if you want a thing before the thing, that's what I'm saying. What the Norfolk Railway did is took out the thing you wanted the most out of the way, right? The Norfolk Railway acted like a normal, look like a normal heritage, not heritage, business railway line when it isn't. It's a heritage railway line. And without the day out of Thomas, right? I'm here. I'm alive and well. Thank you very much indeed. And then you basically got the one thing they took away from you, which could earn them a little bit more money on the sidelines, but it'd be the company's choice. But the thing is, if it wasn't for the second generation of the fleet, who I will not name, if they didn't get booted out, right, which I have noticed, I pay attention to these things. The thing before the thing. So when I got booted out, right, because I know at that time the Norfolk Railway were red flagging everything up so high that they did a lot of things they shouldn't done. All right, they booted me out as well, which claim puts me in a position to be the fat man that I am today. I am the third gen fat controller in real life, in any angle. And a lot of the problems is a thing before the thing, the Norfolk Railway didn't see it coming. So, in the end of the day, when the Norfolk Railway fails on you, just because they want their prices high and staked up high and everything else, ask yourself the question. It's not going to be a pretty sight up there. From what I'm seeing on a nice day, you probably get a nice journey up. But you do not want to pay, pay up pay up a lot of money just for one ride to Holt and back again. That would have cost you for 1 day trip about 15 quid for an adult. But I'd rather be it in a cheaper price because what they need they cannot have. It's so basically the customers want something, obviously. That's one layer. And then you've got to work out what price would they be agreeable to pay, obviously, for a whole day or half a day or getting to A or B. Then you've got to work out the mileage, which is number two, because if it's a 5 mile trip, it's a 5 mile trip. They can't give you the same prices backwards and forth for the ones you do it from 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 Cromer / Knapford all the way to Norwich to Orsted. So that's not like that's 6 quid anyway. But that's what you have to look into. Is all of that combined as one. You can't just think, okay, how much does a 5 mile journey cost? Halfway and return. Then it's basically doubled normally. But if you want to do it for a week or you want if it's more people in the family, they should have done a family ticket worth for just for a day ticket basically will be the same price. But when I look at these things being added on, saying dogs will have to be charged 3 quid, bollocks, excuse my French. That's a load of BS going in that. And because the dogs don't do much, um, if you're disabled or whatever, they shouldn't charge you extra because you put yourself in the disabled carriage, excuse my French, but a lot of people are now just asking the biggest question of all, the biggest one of all. Why did the Norfolk Railway fail? Because it's all in there in black and blue. Like my friend has stated before, it's all true. So when you look at it and feel like you are been understanding about this, don't just rush in there with your debit cards or your credit cards and thinking that you're gonna get a good day's enjoyment out of it. When you add it all up and equalize it up, especially with food and water, you find out you're paying about the 120 or 140 quid on a dot for one day. But that's just for four kids and let's say two adults and kids. But a lot of us have like said no. If a fat controller was up there, me obviously being myself, that will I would make them to have reasonable prices to set reasonable prices for everybody because everybody of us could be regulars. There could be some of us in the town, but when you're dealing with people around the globe, they want a set price nearly the same as everybody else. So when you think about it logically, you've got autumn timetable, you've got a yellow timetable, green timetable, blue timetable, red timetable. Does it give a ring of bing? Does it give you red flags first thing in the journey, or even that? Realizing I'll probably be paying too much for this ride, or the trip backwards and forward. I said, look, if they're really that desperate, why did the second generation and myself got booted out, the thing before the thing, so then I become the fat controller as I'm meant to be, right? Then the fat controller is on the line of let's say a fiery line, let's say correctly. The Norfolk Railway has decided to pull a stunt. It's what they've done. So basically when you lost them, the third generation comes in, then you got lost the third gen fat controller. So what does that tell you? The rise of the fat controller, so does steam. So steam has been running, right? So when you look at it, it's not a big game after all. It's a real life event. This is not a game, and it's really like saying, look, I'm trying to explain it the best I can with the education that I've been given. Yeah, that's another one, right? That's the same thing with the third gen. They come in having the same problems as the second gen. Why? Because the management isn't inconstructible to understand this is the boundary, you crossed the bloody, it's saying you crossed the line. If I said to them they were out of order or out of disrespect, I said, what's made change your attitude? Right? You know what I mean? It's like saying like, right, it's just like saying like, now I'm at the same level as the Norfolk Railway is now. Right? Because everything they do, I find out quicker. Why? Because I know exactly what's going on. Do you think I'm going to pay attention sitting down on my computer all day trying to solve the last piece of the puzzle? But it's not going to take one day or night. It's going to take some time. This is why the Norfolk Railway has a vital part in this. Right? They don't give a damn. They think, oh, that's a big charade, that's a big hoo-hoo, that's a load of hoax, blah, blah, blah. Well, it isn't a hoax in any angle. So when they think it isn't a load of hoax, ask them what have they been doing upside down when I know they've been doing a lot of maintenance work with the B12. You know, Hazel, as I call her. So then people are asking, what? He knows Hazel? Yes, I do. And I also know why in the engine as well, after all. So I know that liners up there as well. So then you've got like a similar engine like Wilbit, for example. Yeah, well, the only thing is the magic that everybody refuses to believe in. It's all happening unfoldably, naturally, naturally unfolding. So when you think you've got this big weight on your shoulders, no, I'm trying to put things right. So when I say it, right, thing before the thing, right, because they, like G2 fleet that I had before, who I won't name, right, they've been through hell. They've been through shit, excuse my language, went on their last few days because that was a bad time for them. And the last thing they need right now was boot, 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 out, out, out. Right, I don't expect the management to do that at all, in any angle. So, now, I said that's not your fault. I know whose fault it is, without mentioning no names. So the G2 fleet and myself got booted out. What happened? The thing happened. So the third, when I say the thing before the thing, when the Norfolk Railway was basically been rivered down, if you will. When I say river down, I mean people have been tested with strengths and weaknesses. So if you got a weakness in your system or your body, or you can't work there because of your physical well-being or your mental state or whatever, it doesn't stop them working their hard off to know what's going on up there. You know, I I work my butt off to get where I be, right? But at the end of the day, the third gen are in danger, and without the fat controller myself on the railway, what did my private contact say in America? You're gonna get stumped by me at any time. So when you think this is all a joke or not a joke, just ask yourself a question. Where's the fat controller when you need him? Or me? Because the Sir Stephen Topham had the third, I'm here. You know what I mean? Just because I know things doesn't mean that you're gonna get in control. The other thing that I do worry about when I'm know the Norfolk Railway, when I know the N&R's motives or actions, if you will, is is if if you feel uncomfortable up there, get out. I'm giving you like if you feel uneasy because of this situation, it doesn't mean that I am bad. It's just basically telling you the truth behind the sequence, the storytelling, everything. I'm not gonna hide nothing from no one, right? The Fat Controller, myself, has to return to the Norfolk Railway and put things right. And if we don't, the Norfolk Railway will cease to exist. And the people will ask why these engines are all coming in. They don't often come out with the lights on and we got it, right? A lot of people don't know what their actions are. You know, you should listen to my friends from now on. You know, sometimes they tell the truth and be honest. And I said the biggest fault that there is in Norfolk, which is why everything is all pear shaped. Where's Day Thomas? Where is why are these engines come? Why are these other parts coming in? And I'm trying to help people integrate with new information they don't have yet. And it's making you self aware. We got a fat controller on the line. Right? The Norfolk Railway think you're laughing stocks, cuckoo heads, would you like to call them correctly? But it's the opposite. So it's they the cuckoo heads, you're not. You know what I mean? So when I say to people if they've gone crazy about anything about me, just ask them. You're that I'm Stephen Topham Hatt the third. That's that. You know, people think Like I said, the whole thing was that I went out late yesterday with my private connection, and we were talking about the Norfolk Railway's reputation and how it's pulling everyone's down to T. I said, yeah, well, it's been doing that for since 2019, and no one's ever been grasping to realise what is going on. If I knew who was being booted out instantly, I would say, look, you didn't do nothing wrong. That's the end of the story. You know what I mean? A lot of people say you got booted out for no reason. It's basically for disability issues, as another example. But I'm just trying to enlighten you. The reason you got the fat controller now is because it came before the thing before the thing. So the thing is, what you have to realize that you've got me, and I know exactly what's going on, and I don't have to be everywhere to know it. All I have to do is make everybody aware that I'm monitoring. The problem is, a lot of the people that do know the Hatt family that well, we are protectors, we are saviors, but we have respect for the railway system. Hold on.